A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dictors. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, cause they'll say I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, hello everybody. It's good to be back. Here we are. Mauler.
Hello.
I've missed you.
Oh.
I missed talking.
Do I have to say
nonsense.
it back, or do I have to like?
Nah. Don't lie. I don't need you to lie to me.
I was thinking about it now. Like, you'll see
Drinker,
right through me.
I've missed tolerating you and your disgusting babble.
I've missed excuses to drink. I have plenty. Don't you worry about it.
I don't need excuses. It's just who I am. But yeah, chat. I've missed you guys as well. It's been a little while. I had to go down to the premiere of Mauler's shit movie. What can, what can you do? It was so bad he didn't even have the good grace to show up for it. Damn it. No, it was a lot of fun. It was good. Good to be down there in London. Got to chat with the actors again. Got to chat with Lance, the director, and meet a lot of really cool people. So all good fun, and I'm glad it went well. And it was a credit to you, Mauler. The reception for it was great, and I think you should be super proud of what you've created there.
Hey man, credit to everyone involved, including you. You're like a major networker, producer, executive, you might even say, Mr. Man who gets it all done.
I'm kind of a big deal around here. My dream is to be a sleazy Hollywood producer with a casting couch. I'll get there one day.
I was worried about those posters though, because when they had arrived for me, and then we realized like what the time was and getting it mailed, and then I was in my parents' house with a big stack of them, and I was like, okay, let's go. I need to get this done.
Let us begin.
You know, one of the, I don't know if you've had it happen where I was like, I did one, put it down, did another one, put it on top, and then I was like, wait. I like moved it back. And I was like, oh no, it's smearing.
The ink hasn't dried, and now they've stuck together. Yeah, and it's ruined. Yeah, it's unavoidable, sadly. I did talk to Lance about it. He said they actually could have sent the posters to you weeks ago. We just wanted it to be dramatic and last minute. So I thought that's fair enough. It makes sense. But there you go. I guess the adrenaline pumping. But it worked out fine in the end, and we got them, and we signed them, and everyone got the posters they wanted. So they were all happy. So good. All good stuff. But anyway, open bar is calling. So how about we do our thing and we talk about pointless facts about the year in question?
Let's do it.
Because we are almost out of this. We've almost like come full circle and gotten back to where we were before. So anyway, in this case, it's the year of our Lord, 1972. So stuff that happened in this particular year. The last US ground troops were withdrawn from Vietnam in August of that year, which effectively ended American involvement in the Vietnam War. So that is good. I mean, the war didn't end very well overall, but, you know, at least no more people were getting killed on the ground there. At least no more Americans were.
You try to see the positives in it. Yeah. You know,
that is it. That is it. Yeah, I'm sure none of them were particularly enthusiastic about traveling halfway around the world to fight a war that they didn't understand and get blown up for it. So yeah, I'm glad they got.
Actually, I saw the Turning Point documentary on, I think it was Netflix, for Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
It's I will say I watched it with Fringy, and we came away. I was just like, that's like one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. The amount of work they put in is insane.
Because it covers the whole Cold War, doesn't it? And there's just a segment on Vietnam, isn't there?
No, I'm talking about the one specific. There is a Cold War one. I'm talking about the Vietnam one.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, because I'm sure there was a series called Turning Point, and it was all about like just the entire course of the Cold War and like each episode.
No, I am. That's actually on my to watch list because man, it's just insane. They go through everything like. You sort of are like, oh, I know this from this and this and this, and I know this. It's just like, I didn't know. Oh, Jesus, I didn't know that. And you're like, yeah, that's
brutal stuff.
Yeah.
Never learn as well, sadly. That year as well, Nixon was re-elected by landslide up against George McGovern. Apparently, history did not remember him very well, but yeah, it was all to come crashing down not long afterwards with the Watergate scandal. So That actually began in June of that year, which was before he was re-elected by landslide with a break-in at the DNC headquarters in Washington, obviously in the Watergate Hotel. It was kind of on the low, like on the down low for a long time. Like Nixon successfully smothered the story, usually, well, partly by leaning on like the FBI and stuff to try and smother it as a matter of national security. But it did eventually leak, and obviously ultimately brought down his second term of his presidency. It's kind of interesting. You kind of wonder what would have happened. Like, what if he'd served his full second term? Who knows?
Well, obviously, the major consequence of Watergate was creating one of the most iconic suffixes in history.
Gate, yeah, we've had it on everything. Even video games have had it.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable almost. I was looking at the history of like how if it was started to be used like immediately or if there was maybe a gap, and then because it just seems like it's impossible to replace now. Like
it's ubiquitous, you know. Did you ever watch Frost Nixon?
I did.
The Ron Howard movie. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that was great. I mean, neither of the actors look or sound anything like the people they're playing, but it kind of doesn't matter. Like, I think Frank Langella somehow captures the essence of Nixon.
I'm saying when the president does it, it's not illegal.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Also in that year, the Andes flight disaster, which you might know from the movie Alive, where a Uruguayan Air Force flight crashed in the Andes. And everyone on board was forced to eat each other in order to survive. So not a great day out for any of them, really.
Nah.
Yeah.
We've been there, though.
I mean, you know.
Remember that night out?
I mean, look, when the kebab shops are closed, man, you've got to get creative.
That was a rough few hours. You know, I didn't think I'd make it home, but
yeah.
We got there.
It's like, not trying to survive, it's just a bit peckish, you know. Soak up the alcohol. Human flesh, perfect. In the world of technology and stuff, we had the Magnavox Odyssey, which was the first ever home video game console released in that year. We also got the game Pong, which really kickstarted the video gaming craze from Atari. It was released in November of that year, and it was the first commercially successful mass-produced video game, which is all very cool. We also got Ethernet cables for the very first time.
Well.
Developed by Xerox in 1972. It laid the groundwork for LAN networks for the rest of computing eternity. So to this day, we still use Ethernet cables, unless you're a fucking lunatic and you use Wi-Fi for your internet connections. But, you know.
Well, and if you know anything about consistent connections and then you're upstairs and you're like, oh, you're on Wi-Fi, it's like you might want to get, you know, for PC, if you're like a gamer, if you take it really seriously. But then,
or if you do like occasional live streaming.
You got to get that line throughout the whole, like go down the stairs. I had a friend who put it out the window so it went outside and then back into the house through the front door or some shit. I was like, was that the most efficient? Like,
gotta love it.
Yeah.
Also, scanners were invented, so you know, like the precursor to like photocopiers and stuff. So you could like plonk your arse on that thing and scan the shit out of it. So excellent stuff. It's been used ever since. And also, the Egg McMuffin was invented by McDonald's, so it's been bringing about coronary artery bypasses ever since. So,
good for them, question mark.
Yeah, I mean, you know, calling it an egg is getting a bit creative, but, you know, never mind. But yeah, in the world of movies, the big movie of 1972 was obviously The Godfather. Went on to make at least 250, some accounts say 290 million at the global box office, which is wild because the budget was like minuscule at the time. It also launched the careers of Francis Ford Coppola, Al Pacino. It kind of resurrected Marlon Brando's career, which was really like in the doldrums at that point. And at the Academy Awards, it won the Oscar for Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It also got 7 other Oscar nominations for Best Supporting Actors and so on. And when you look at the cast, it's like Al Pacino, Marlon Brando, James Caan, Robert Duvall, Shelley Duvall. But yeah,
well, Robert Duvall's in it as well, right?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I think she's the one who got the Oscar nomination, though. So, but anyway, yeah, hell of a movie, and well, like obviously would go on to be one of the most iconic films of the 70s.
Fucking lads, and Mola still hasn't seen it. I saw Godfather when I was like a kid. My dad showed me that.
Yeah, calm down, Lance.
I've seen all the Godfathers and the third. Like,
And the third, yeah, you don't see the third, you endure it. But yeah, that year also gave us the Poseidon Adventure, absolute classic. Deliverance, is not really the one I want to rewatch a lot, but it's a movie for sure. You don't forget it. We also got Solaris and Silent Running, two classic sci-fi movies. There was a bit of a preoccupation with sex as well by that point. We got Last Tango in Paris, which is pretty explicit. If you've seen the scene with the butter, then you know what I'm talking about, bro. Everything you always wanted to know about sex, but were afraid to ask. I mean, the clue is in the title, I guess. Fist of Fury, not a sex movie, but I just wanted to follow up with that.
I'm glad you clarified that. Good.
And Way of the Dragon. So two Bruce Lee movies in the same year, which is pretty damn impressive. But yes, anyway, that is our rundown of 1972. That kind of went on way longer than I thought, actually. We got super sidetracked with that. I mean, we should probably check.
A lot can happen in a year. What can you say?
Yeah. Just before we actually bring everyone in, what was this one here? There's a YouTube channel called Wendigoon that will have the entire Apocalypse Now movie on their channel with permission from Lionsgate. Do you think this will change how media channels are able to interact with movies and clips going forward?
Wait, so is it with his commentary or is it just the movie?
I think it's just the movie. Maybe it's under license or something, so you pay a certain amount to the the license holders or something. It
that seems really strange, doesn't it?
Maybe
do you think it's shared really revenue? Strange. Something like that?
Presumably, yeah. But if you're not adding anything to it, like you say, if you were going to add commentary over the whole thing, that's okay. That's transformative.
Well, I mean, dude, I would fucking love it if we got that on YouTube. Like, we could just outright stream like Terminator 2 and talk over scenes or whatever, and then that could be uploaded and no worry about copyright because there's like a licensing thing or something. So maybe this is the first step toward that.
Yeah. But yeah, more freedom to do that sort of thing would be great, because when we did our watch throughs of like the Star Trek movies or Firefly or whatever, the best I could do to avoid copyright was just like the fuzziest, most distorted version of the thing playing over it, where you could just barely make out what's happening, which is obviously not a great viewing experience for people, but it's the best we can do. Otherwise the whole thing gets shut down. But yeah, who knows? Like, YouTube, I think, is this like new frontier for movies, for media, for all that stuff. So yeah.
Well, they should have gotten on this ages ago. I thought there was like a TV show thing they tried to do on Twitch at some point, but yeah, who knows where we'll be in 10 years from now.
Yeah, Shout Studios play full TV shows and movies on YouTube. Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, Critical Science Theater 9000. Yeah, let's do it. Love that. Anyway, we should probably bring our guests in before they die of like polio or old age or boredom backstage. So how about we bring them in, Mauler? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome to the bar, everyone. The Little Platoon, the Despot of Antrim, and Critic Owl. Hello, gentlemen. I'm sorry we kept you waiting for so long there. We got sidetracked talking shite. It happens a lot on Open Bar.
We sure did.
Yes. How you guys doing?
Who hasn't been to a bar where like 90% of the time there is people talking shit, though? That's what bars are for.
That's what makes it a bar.
Yeah. That's the thing. If people criticize us for not producing good content on Open Bar, we're just keeping to the theme. That's all. It's intentional, okay?
I don't think Great Expectations was written in the bar. It might have been. It's a possibility, but I don't think it was. So.
I'm not sure, yeah. Apparently, yeah, you look like Dave Grohl. You kind of do a little bit, actually. It's the beard. Yeah, what was this one here? Just before we go on, bring it up. Come on. Was at the All in Good Time premiere last week. It was great to meet you, Drinker. I love chatting to Kelly Fremantle too. She was fun. Such an interesting story, Mauler. Great work, guys. Thank you very much,
thank
sir.
You. Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Where and when do we get to see that if we couldn't make the in-person thing? Is it being released?
It is. I don't know, Mauler, do you know more about this than I do?
I believe it is in the hands of the director for now, Mr. Lance. He's going to be figuring that one out.
Yeah, I think what they might be doing is putting it in for a couple of like festivals. But when you do that, you can't release it in any other platform, any other location first. And so you have to submit it first. So I think that's what they want to do. And then I guess, Mauler, you're going to release it on your channel, aren't you?
I'd imagine so. And I'll obviously make sure to let everyone know when it's happening so that people know.
I was at the premiere. I am in the middle of writing my review at the moment. I will keep it spoiler free, of course, but I will give my thoughts on the various aspects of the movie. That'll be out sometime this week coming up.
Nice. Cool. Alrighty. Well, I was racking my brains of what to cover first, and I guess we should get the worst of the worst out of the way first. How does that sound? It's going to have to be Starfleet Academy. Now, people in this open bar, you guys are at various stages of it's kind of like stages of cancer almost enduring this show. Some of people have got up to stage 3 and 4, which is pretty terminal, but others are just at stage 1 or 2. But to a degree, we've all experienced it, and
I've yet to contract it. I'm immune. I have not yet.
Well, I've got time more.
I've got a whole collection of cancers, but that's not one of them.
On the longest of timescales and all that, but no.
Starfleet Academy, too much even for an elder god.
Yeah, it is quite the show, gentlemen. I do want to just, before we talk about like the contents of it, I'm kind of more interested in a way in just the reception that it's had. I can say that this article from Collider has confirmed that it actually dropped off of its own streaming chart within 2 days. It says here, just 3 days after the premiere of episode 3, Starfleet Academy has been ousted from the current Paramount Plus streaming charts in the US. This is made even more damning when considering the lack of brand new content providing competition for it. In the current top 10, the popular animated series SpongeBob SquarePants is at 10. Criminal Minds is at 9. Everybody Loves Raymond at 8, like all dinosaur shows. Mayor of Kingstown at 7, is better. Handsome Devil, The Charming Killer is at 6. NCIS is at 5. That's another dinosaur legacy thing. Tulsa King is at 4. That's the Taylor Sheridan thing. South Park at 3, UFC at 2, and Billy Bob Thornton's led neo-Western Landman is at number 1 spot, which kind of makes sense. So yeah, Starfleet Academy dropped out of Paramount Plus's own charts. It's that unpopular.
But it's interesting as well, because like you say, like, a load of those things on that list are quote unquote dinosaur shows. And one of the things that Alex Kurtzman and the Star Trek people have attempted to do is to say, well, Star Trek is a dinosaur brand and we need to find a new audience. So we're not going to appeal to the dinosaur audience anymore. We're going to boldly go where no one has gone before and try and appeal to women who like science fiction. And like, it hasn't worked. Evidently it hasn't worked, but then it also suggests that the entire methodology underlying it was balked from the start, given that popular things tend to be quite old and old people also watch television. And given the collapsing birth rate, there are more old people. So maybe actually making a Star Trek that appeals to dinosaurs would be more successful than one that appeals to people who don't exist.
100% agree. I tried to define this, and the best I could come up with is this is Star Trek for the TikTok generation. Very loud, very vapid, very colorful, ultimately completely shallow, completely meaningless. It's all about feelings and in the moment action and just teen angst. This is nonsense. This is a teen drama wearing the skin suit of Star Trek, and for the life of me, I can't understand what they thought they were going to achieve with this. As you say, like there's perhaps that underlying hope that, okay, we're going to appeal to women who like sci-fi. They don't exist. But also, trying to court that younger audience with like being mostly, in theory, at least teenage or at least early 20s characters. Everyone's very young and very energetic, and everyone's like hyperactive and like very hot, and it's all relationship stuff. Why would people who like stuff like that be interested in Star Trek? And why would people who are into Star Trek with all the hard sci-fi, thought-provoking stuff that it used to be about be interested in this stuff? It's like two things that cancel each other out. It's a show that fundamentally neuters its own premise.
It's weird because like if you were to summarize it without using any identifying nouns, what you've got is you have a high school that is also a spaceship that can fly around the galaxy, and it has students who are like mostly defined by one extremely exaggerated characteristic. The main character is a male who is primarily supposed to appeal to a female audience. Despite being students, they have this hugely outsized impact on the galaxy as a whole. They can solve intergalactic conflicts and diplomacy. What I'm describing is like, it's one of those high school set animes that is designed to appeal to girls. I think it's shoujo, I think is the type that is supposed to appeal to the girls primarily. It's not really what you would associate normally with Star Trek, but you can make a bunch of these things work seriously, and evidently many animes do succeed in making these work because lots of them are incredibly popular. But what it seems like is a bunch of people sat around and they said, what is popular with young people, and particularly young women? Well, they watch this kind of thing. So if we just do this kind of thing, and we can just sort of appeal to them by patronizing them. We basically misunderstood our own source material and the stuff they enjoy. And so we're giving them something which doesn't appeal to anyone and it is deeply patronizing as well. Like there are some women who like science fiction, but Star Trek gains its original audience by treating them as serious adults. And most young people want to be treated as serious adults. And I think most young people don't fall for it when you give them a show where a bunch of kids sit around in like an intergalactic diplomacy meeting. And the debate is, do you open your borders and let in the space pirates because that's nice? And the guy says no. And then the Federation response is, but the young people want it. And so the guy says, yeah, okay then. I think everyone knows when they're being patronized to this degree. And it doesn't work. So no wonder nobody likes it.
Well, the messaging is not subtle in the slightest. Episode 4, even though it is a slight improvement, in my opinion, over the previous 3, is still just a migrant allegory. We've got these refugees. Do we help them? Do we not help them? It's all very lazily done. But my main problem with Starfleet Academy is the entire series is an anachronism. Not for 1 second do I believe this is set 1,000 years in the future. None of the technology looks like it. None of the speech sounds like it. We're all using modern vernacular. And even haven't bothered to dress the sets properly. You've got like a barrister coffee bar in Starfleet Academy in the 32nd century. I mean, they failed at the first hurdle. From there, it's that Robert Meyer Burnett, doesn't he? Loves using that word verisimilitude, and it's not there. You don't believe it for 1 second. It feels dated before you even start because, like you said, it's just it is just a teenage school drama wearing the skin of Star Trek. That's all it is.
I think because some of it is excused by the burn, which like set back technological progress in the Star Trek universe by, hundreds of years potentially, and they're now just recovering from it. So I could sort of understand that to a degree, but like it's, as you point out, it's the dialogue that it feels like it was written by aging boomers that are trying to hang with the cool Gen Z kids.
It's that Steve Buscemi meme, isn't it?
Yeah, how would you do, fellow young people? It's like that, honestly. And it's just Star Trek was never about that. It's like watching your granddad trying to act cool with like your friends or something. That's what it feels like. And that's what Star Trek never tried to do. It was always about ideas, and it never got into pop culture, and you never got to see what like a futuristic nightclub looked out like in the Next Generation era, because they knew it would look goofy as fuck and it would be dated immediately if they tried to do it. So they avoid all that stuff. And they keep it much more general, and it's much more about just the mission that the characters are on, like the mission of exploration, all that sort of thing. And that's why it aged so well, and that's why it's never bogged down by current deisms. It certainly dealt with, throughout its history, Star Trek's always dealt with issues that were relevant at the time of making it, but it was cloaked in allegory. It was usually filtered through the lens of alien races who might be dealing with similar problems. And crucially, it was balanced. It never tried to project that stuff onto the human characters. And that's the
very biggest difference, isn't it, between new Star Trek and old Star Trek? Old Star Trek used to make you think. New Star Trek tells you what to think.
Exactly, yeah. And that's where it becomes so goddamn tedious. It's just painful to watch, because it's like, it's like watching a toddler finger painting over the Mona Lisa or something, and like calling it their own work. Like that's
somebody who knows the difference between a Braille and a cavort bird of prey, it's just damn right insulting. The way I thought about this the other day, do you remember in the original series they have the Space Hippies episode where they do that one kind of concession to the 60s, and they're like, dig and reach and all that kind of thing. We find out that Spock's a bit of a hippie and all that kind of stuff. So they do this Space Hippies episode. Starfleet Academy is like every single episode is a Space Hippies episode. Yeah. It just doesn't know how to be Star Trek. It just does this kind of facade with just stuff.
It doesn't particularly want to be, though. I think that's the other problem, is that you might get the odd aberrant episode of an older Star Trek TV show which maybe leans a little bit too hard or too obviously on the allegory. By and large, as has been mentioned, it focuses on the broader philosophical, existential type questions, and it sort of tries to teach you the right approach to engaging with issues, as opposed to saying the issue is solved, we've solved it for you, now you go and do it yourself. But that sort of relies on a cast of characters who are serious and adult and written by serious adults. And it fits what Starfleet is supposed to be, sort of a kind of military-ish, but also scientific exploratory outfit run by very mature people who are absolutely the best at what they do.
It's an Academy.
It is absolutely an elite, and it's ordered like an elite, and it has a hierarchy, as all naval organizations must do. Starfleet Academy, I don't think it doesn't not understand that. I just don't think it doesn't want it. It doesn't like it. So you get in this situation instead, everyone who's supposed to be in a position of authority is there to tell you that they are not really authoritative figures that you're supposed to lean on or respect or look up to. They're part of you. They are just on your level. So the captain of the ship, who just lounges around on her chair and who walks around barefoot and who engages with all the students as though she's their best friend, is not designed to be looked at as a captain. She's designed to be looked at as kind of like a counselor in a modern university. She's just like she's just as cool and young and hip as all of you, and she's there to be a shoulder to cry on. There's no respect for authority because authority doesn't exist. It's unintentionally ironic that the first thing she does when she gets charge of this starship is to fly a dormitory full of college kids into a near-death experience and only escape by luck. It's exactly what you'd expect someone like that to do, but they don't realize the irony of that, which is that obviously she shouldn't be in charge, but they don't think anyone should be in charge, so they don't see the problem.
I would love to present this to Gene Roddenberry if I could somehow reanimate his corpse.
Oh, why would you do that?
Or go back in time and say, like, hey, Gene, you know this Star Trek show that you're working on? Like, you've got this really, like, well-developed vision for the future. Well, here's what it's going to become. I think, God, I think he would just shoot himself on the spot. Like, no, we must stop this.
There was this quote that I used from Gene in my review video where he said, like, humanity advances through hard work. And that's the thing. You work hard, you become the best. And now we've got a cadet that's swallowed a com badge. I'm like,
I think that was possibly the moment where I checked out fully from the show. I just realized it was doomed.
So he's a com badge, right?
Yes. I mean, I can't imagine the scenario in which you would put like your communicator badge in your mouth and then swallow it. Like this
it's like Starfleet Academy's got like a remedial class or something.
It's honestly like Star Trek with learning disabilities. Like we're actually dealing with the short bus kids here on this one, but there's
apart from Caleb, who's good at everything and he's Space Jesus too.
Oh, and it somehow got this status despite being on the run since he was a small kid and never been to school. But then he knows everything there is to know about programmable matter and shield frequencies and any technical challenge that comes around. It's insufferable.
He knows the Starfleet manual back to front and inside out. He's literally like Crichton from Red Dwarf. He's quoting subsections and stuff in his debates.
That's why, like, when I used the clip of him like hacking the programmable matter, I had to like splice in a clip of like super intelligent Rimmer from Red Dwarf. Where he's on the keyboards and then he starts like flipping the hands over. He's like, it's so easy.
That was Hollow Ship, wasn't it? That's the one.
It was, where he has like a 5,000 IQ or something for like 20 minutes.
The jokes like that, the jokes like the swallowing the com. I almost said the com badge as well. Swallowing the com badge. It's like that's the kind of thing that stood out to me. It's like this is like it is anime humor. This is what they're doing. Every ancillary character is a characteristic. They are there for a single joke, and that is always just playing on exaggeration. If you're looking for what Star Trek kind of used to give you, which is like a cast of people and even ancillary people and entire races and entire planets you might only encounter for one episode, but are believably of their time and their place. This one can't do that because, as was mentioned earlier, the burn in Star Trek Discovery, which was just all kinds of shit. Child cries or warp drive explodes. But it's created supposedly this galaxy which is more Star Warsy on its face. It's like it is rife with conflict. The Federation is not all powerful. There's all kinds of internecine battles breaking out. There's no functional control over any major part. Piracy is everywhere. And all the kids who've been brought onto this ship are supposed to have grown up in this newer, harder, rougher galaxy. This is the one time you would expect there to be more militarism, more authority, a more assertive Starfleet, and all of the new cadets shouldn't be jokey people who've never experienced anything before. They should have been brought up in a world which is massively unsafe. They should be, if anything, dysfunctionally serious as opposed to dysfunctionally unserious. But it can't give you that. So they seem like the most pampered ever generation of characters in any Star Trek production at exactly the time in Star Trek history where the opposite should be the case. So there's nothing believable about any of it. And you just sort of think, well, you're not trying to be serious with me, so why should I engage seriously with you?
Yeah. I fundamentally, I just do not understand the purpose of this show. I don't know who it's meant to appeal to. I don't know what they thought their criteria for success was going to be with this one. I don't know why they would pump like tens of millions, if not $100 million into this, because it doesn't necessarily look like a cheap show to make. There is a lot of set design going on there. There's a lot of visual effects and so on. It clearly had money spent on it. And it's Star Trek's acolyte. That's what it's feeling
It is
like.
Kurtzman's final vision for Star Trek, I can tell you that. I mean, the thing that upsets me, guys, is this is the 60th anniversary. This is the 60th anniversary of a franchise that I grew up watching with my dad. And if I didn't understand something, my dad would explain the concept to me. But it was fine because there was no swearing. So there was no reason for a kid not to watch it, you know? And we're 60 years on now, and it's just got this kind of young adult show with all these people swearing and using this vernacular. It's just horrible. And I look at it and it's just horrible. I wish they'd taken the money and remastered DS9. I'm dying on that hill.
The show doesn't need to be Star Trek, and it doesn't want to be Star Trek. It's just a show about. I mean, we say it's a show about high school kids, but I've taught high school kids, and they don't sound anything like high school kids. They sound more like something. Some of them sound like elementary school kids, like the sort of black pig-nosed girl. She's like an elementary school.
Oh my word,
kid,
Sam!
like
Yeah.
Needs kid, and then the rest are kind of like middle schoolers, like bickering middle schoolers, but high schoolers are quite a bit more mature than most of these characters, and they're certainly nothing like sort of college students, because college students have got to the stage in life where they're identifiable as people as opposed to caricatures, or as opposed to a teenager going through an identity phase, whereas all of these characters come off as middle schoolers going through an identity phase because they are so one note. The show, we don't even need to talk about how bad it is as a Star Trek show. It's like with Predator Badlands, for example, yes, it's a terrible Predator movie, but who really cares? Because it is such a dreadful movie.
Oh, yeah.
On its own terms, completely separate from the Predator franchise. Forget about how it trashes the Predator franchise. It's just a fucking terrible movie by itself.
Yeah.
Same thing with Starfleet Academy. I can't take it seriously at all as a Star Trek production, but on its own merits, just completely forgetting the fact that it's a Star Trek show, it's complete trash. It doesn't even follow its own logic. So, for example, we can talk about how it has no verisimilitude because the characters are completely non-believable. Not just the cadets, but the instructors. There's that probably the worst actor in the show is the British actress, the big
Gina Yashir
actress, and she speaks all of her lines like this.
Yeah,
you know, she overemphasizes.
She's a very angry character.
She's awful.
Very one note. She reminds me of the big fat black woman from Ghostbusters 2016. I forget her name.
Leslie Jones.
Yeah, basically loud is funny. It's that sort of approach. If I'm just loud enough, it will be funny. And the actress is terrible. But there's a scene where the kid who's the main character, he goes in, you know, he's ripped and he's built, and this fucking obese slob turns around and says, "Give me 50 push-ups right now." And I'm looking at this, and it looks so ridiculous. You have this morbidly obese woman ordering a kid to do 50 push-ups, and it's thinks it's funny, but it doesn't realize that it is funny, but not for the reasons it thinks it's funny.
Yes. It's like you do one and I'll be impressed. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
And then later,
before people point out, like, because I know people like to rebut this with like, oh yeah, but Scotty was fat in like the later movies. It's like, yeah, because the fucking actor was like 70 years old. Okay, that's not the same
He'd
thing.
earned it at that point.
Exactly, he's a
Earned his
legend, and he just
fatness.
got fat. You know, it happened. You know, but
Yeah.
you know, in Voyager, you had Tuvok taking them all running through the ship because there were standards. And even in Starfleet Academy, they've got a sprinting and cardio lesson. And I'm like, well, how the hell are people so fat? I don't get it, you know?
in episode 2, they say they're trying to talk to the deaf ambassador. What's that guy? What were they called? Those people that the Trumps.
Oh, the Betazoids.
Let's just
The
call them what they
telepaths that
actually
need
are.
to use sign language.
The MAGA people with the giant wall
Yeah.
keeping everybody else out that needs to come back and rejoin the international community. Because that's obviously what it is. It's the hammiest fucking metaphor I've seen in a while.
Oh man, they are not subtle. They are not subtle.
President Trump comes in and they're trying to convince deaf Trump, that he needs to come back to join the international community. And they say, here at Starfleet Academy, we have the highest standards for our cadets. And like, there's a rigorous entrance exam. And I'm thinking, what fucking rigorous entrance exam? Half of these cadets couldn't run around a 400-meter track. There's a significant minority of them couldn't run the length of themselves. Like none of these people, like very few, maybe one or two would have passed, like say the West Point physical entrance exam. It's ridiculous to think that this is an elite academy. There's nothing elite about it. These are a bunch of pudgy slobs.
I mean, the whole thing is so self-contradicting. This happens in episode 4. Okay, so the Doctor is giving a lesson, and he quotes the great speech from the Drumhead with the first link the chain is forged, the first speech censured, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied. Although they missed that bit because they do the quote wrong. Change us all irreparably. And then, without a hint of irony, 2 lines later, says to a cadet that they need to earn that right to free speech. I'm not even kidding. That is exactly what happens. They have no idea.
But that doesn't make any sense. You don't earn a right. A right is inherent. It's not earned. Privileges are earned.
Hey? Send on the postcards to the creators, I guess. That's how bad it is. It's the same as in the battle scene in the first episode, where Nala, or whatever his name is, gets told that the helm is unresponsive, and then orders emergency evasive maneuvers. And then they get attacked from the back, and she puts all shields to the front. It can't be written by AI, because I'm sure AI would work this stuff out. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about
I honestly think they just didn't even anticipate what the disposition of the battle was going to be. It's like, just have the captain shouting generic orders, and we'll splice in some kind of battle footage later to like compensate for that. I did like they made this really good point here. Actually, there was a scene in episode 1 where Caleb, like Holly Hunter's character, has like gone to get him out of prison and recruit him into Starfleet Academy, and he squares up to her, and I kid you not, he's fucking massive compared to, he is a good foot taller than her. And she's supposed to be this like, and I know like being a commanding presence isn't just about sheer physical size or anything, but she actually looks like a small child who's scared of him. And I just thought, this is not what you want from your captain, man. Even like Janeway would have done something more in that situation to like level the playing field.
In episode 4. So in episode 4, they've ethnically separated the Klingons. You have white Klingons and you have black Klingons. I'm not kidding. There's this white Klingon character who Nala used to bone, and they make it quite clear that they used to have sex all the time. And he is twice her size. Quite literally twice her size. She mumbles. She goes around barefoot. There's not an ounce of command, authority, or respect about her. It's just, it's just wrong.
Well, because you're obviously not familiar with this show, but to put it into context, like the captain lounges in the captain's chair.
I've seen people posting and stuff. Yeah,
she like she's straight up in a bookshop, just reading a book, just chilling with a cup of coffee, like feet up. It's like, come on, man, like. As going back to that point that made earlier about verisimilitude, you have to at least believe that a captain is alert and ready to take command at a moment's notice. Like, I know there's going to be downtime on a ship, but like acting like that would be That would just be so demoralizing for the crew.
I've seen
around them.
a comparison that's been done before, but like it's because I haven't seen TNG, but there's this clip where Picard's in his like I guess quarters or office or whatever, and I think he's got his feet up, and then someone asks to see him, and he puts them down, straightens his like uniform, and then says, enter. Sort of like he needs to never be seen, sort of so relaxing and so carefree as the captain. Meanwhile, she's doing it like in front of everybody, right? Like, she's a cool, fun, carefree lady. Yeah.
I mean, every single captain should be alert in their chair, listening to what's going on the bridge. There's these two guys talking about a spatial anomaly. She doesn't even notice until they call her name because she's reading a book curled up like a cat.
That is partly because the bridge is so fucking massive that like she probably literally couldn't hear what they were talking about until they like yelled across this vast space. But
yeah, very true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Platoon who mentioned this. It's like, well, this captain isn't trying to act like a normal captain. She's more like a guidance counselor in high school, and she's like cool and chill, and she's down with the kids. And like, I'm not this like horrible authority figure. I'm something better than that. And it's like, well, yeah, but you still have to command a ship, and when you yell orders, they need to be obeyed by people. So you need to project authority. And you do that by looking alert and looking like you take your job seriously. Because if you don't, no one else is going to take their job seriously who works beneath you because you've given them no reason to. This is the show, like, in a nutshell. There is nothing aspirational about it. There's nothing believable about it. There's nothing realistic or even adult about it. This is nonsense written by idiots for idiots, and completely misunderstanding their audience.
Do you remember the episode of Next Generation called Disaster, where Picard is with the 3 kids in the turbo lift and Worf's got to deliver the baby, Keiko's baby?
Yes.
Those kids in the turbo lift are more mature than the cast of Starfleet Academy.
Yes.
I will say, from a cultural perspective, I think that even the mainstream has caught on to just how bad Star Trek has become, because the Hollywood Reporter singled Star Trek out as one of the big losers of 2025 based on Section 31 and some shit TV show that they had. And so it's not like they're necessarily getting away with this. People know, anyone who is interested in Star Trek at all, or who's even has a passing interest in this kind of media, is aware that Star Trek is a dead franchise. And I do wonder, I mean, I know that Alex Kurtzman is basically a retroviral parasite that they just cannot get rid of, but I do wonder, like, how much longer can the guy last? Because it's like 14 or 15 failures in a row. I don't know.
His latest 5-year contract is up this year, if I recall correctly.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it matters.
Insane to read.
I don't think it matters. Star Trek is
Oh, it's dead and dead. It's
long dead. It's unrecoverable at this stage.
And they're talking about doing a new movie. I'm like, what? No.
Yeah, who's going to watch it? I mean, yeah, you're 100% right in that. There's franchises that are in deep trouble, like the MCU. But like they've still got at least the veneer of like interest in them and some sort of relevance, like at the box office. Then there's things that are like essentially on life support, like Star Wars, where you've got the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out. If that flops at the box office, then it's properly dead by that point. But like, there's still
that rumor that they'll cancel Dave Filoni's film if that one doesn't do well enough.
Move it to a Disney Plus TV show, right? Because of if this movie bombs, which we've just spent nearly $200 million on, then Dave can go back to writing his little TV show instead, which is not
just isolate Dave as much as possible. But yeah,
like, so Dave's in Ahsoka too, though. That's coming, isn't it?
But
So
yeah,
but that's a plan to make like a triumphant movie to square off the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and everything, all the plot lines of his wacky.
Oh, like an Avengers type thing. Okay.
Yeah, and they're saying like that'll be turned into a TV show if Mandalorian and Grogu can't survive the box office.
Yeah.
Because we've got such great history of things being turned from movies to TV shows to Star Wars so far.
Well, where's your profit margin? Like, at least at the box office, you bring in some sort of money. But then, yeah, the lowest tier of these franchises is Doctor Who and Star Trek. I think they're at the same level now with that complete lack of fan interest. And yeah, if Gary can stream a picture of a action figure on a seat and get more views than this episode does, the premiere episode as well of this entirely new Star Trek show. It's cooked, completely and utterly cooked. It's just gone into cultural irrelevance.
There are people defending it, and I did a video saying why people defend these things. You've got 3 different types of people. You've got the normie who just absorbs in crap. You've got the ardent defender who's so invested in the IP in an unhealthy way that they can't believe it can be bad. And then you've got the SJW slave, which is the person that will literally defend something to the hilt purely because it projects their point of view and their ideology.
Speaking of which, the Mary Sue talked about
and
this.
Yeah, exactly. It's all your fault, dude bros.
Apparently, I'm a toxic dude bro. It's been a while since I've been called that, but yeah, I'm the reason that people have turned against this show. Gary and I, we turned the fans against it. They would have loved Starfleet Academy if it wasn't us.
You're building up an impressive hit sheet there. As the Acolyte, that was cancelled because of you and the rest of the chuds, and now Starfleet Academy, and that's the chuds as well. It's like, when will your reign of destruction end?
I mean, come on, I am trying
killed by dude bros.
I mean, I'm trying to save humanity one cancellation at a time. What can I say?
You're too up on your vernacular, calling them chuds, Lilliputian. You need to sound like a 45-year-old who's trying to sound like he knows his vernacular, so that's why you say dude bros instead of chuds. It does. It actually, it's reminiscent of the sort of script writers of Starfleet Academy, because it sounds like someone who's like an older millennial trying to sound like Gen Z, dude bro. Like, no one says that anymore. They'll generally say chud or something like that, but it is reminiscent of the dialogue in that show. In fact, the show that Starfleet Academy most reminds me of is Velma, because it's like you were mentioning earlier. It's that horrible "How do you do, fellow kids?"
meme. I never watched it
in script form. Oh Jesus, look at you, Velma. Velma was Velma is the show I would point to. Like, if in the future my son asks me what was the woke era, what was woke, I would say just watch an episode of Velma. That's the show that I would point to above all others. That epitomizes the era.
Like
and it reminds me of Velma. It's not as hateful. It's not as mean-spirited. I'll give it that. It's not just outright just bloody-minded. But it's the dialogue's very reminiscent.
They screw themselves over with all these words like dude bro or chud, or trying to track them all. It's just like, just use retard. They're like, no, we're not allowed. And you're like, all right, well.
Well, the other thing it's doing is aging itself. Nobody rang around in Star Trek Next Generation going radical.
Well, exactly.
And stuff like that, you know.
The point I made earlier is like you keep your pop culture of the 23rd century as generic as possible and just reference like classical music and classical literature and stuff, because we don't want to see the 1980s or the 1990s version of what you think the future will be like, because it's going to look really cheesy really fast. But yeah, with articles like that, like referring to us as dude bros, it's kind of like you can feel the anger and the frustration of like, why do people keep listening to you and not us?
I could feel the impotence and the rage of the writer.
It's kind of what it comes down to. And it's just, it's like, why, we've shilled our hearts out for this show and nobody's listening to us. Why not? It's like, well, maybe you're the problem and maybe you're actually wrong and the show is just a bit shit.
It does amaze me actually with all these, because all these websites have started caving in kind of thing, that the Mary Sue just keeps on trucking. I guess it's getting funded from somewhere.
I think they do a lot of political commentary. That is where they get their real traction now. So their actual like media stuff is just irrelevant essentially, but they still like to dip their toes in, particularly when it intersects with politics, which is what you get with something like Starfleet Academy, where there's a very strong political angle to it. But yeah, I think the thing that made me laugh in that article is like they kind of accuse people like Gary and I of like almost purity testing people. Like, oh, well, if you don't know the X, Y, and Z about Star Trek, then you're not a real fan, which is funny because I've literally never had that conversation with anyone ever in my life, online or in private or anything. I don't care if you know nothing about Star Trek or you can name every fucking character that's ever existed in it. If you're open to watching it, then great, you're a fan in my book. If you enjoy it, presumably, and that's fine. There's levels to these things. But then in the very next paragraph, they then talk about how buying all the action figures in the world and all the collectibles doesn't make you a real fan. And if you clearly don't understand the messaging of it like we do, so you're not a fan. It's like, okay, well, so you can exclude people, but we're not allowed to. Great, okay, I get you.
It's also
that's how this works.
The guy who made the show said, "This is, we want to get new fans. It's not supposed to be the thing. It does not advertise itself either as being something for diehard Star Trek fans. Like, quite famously, whenever it does throw in background props or characters or like alien species, because it's a lore reference, it tends to get these badly wrong. There's because I'm not, and I would never claim to be a particularly massive Star Trek fan. What's the race which is like half white, half black, and like they are." That's the one. Am I right in saying that when they last showed up in whatever the last series they showed up in, there were like 2 of them left and both of them were male and their species was going extinct because of race war?
They hated each other to extinction.
So like one of them turns up in the backdrop of Starfleet Academy then, and it's like, well, okay, I see why you put it there because that's just like an Easter egg, but then it also shows seemingly that you don't understand what that race is about, what that alien or what the history of it is, because probably shouldn't exist here in this time and place, but there it is. That shouldn't really matter. Like, Easter eggs are fine. Ideally, though, you don't throw them in completely devoid of canon and continuity. But if anyone turns around to you at, say, like the Mary Sue and says, well, you're not a real Star Trek fan because you would know this obscure point of the lore and the backstory, Alex Kurtzman doesn't agree with them. He says, no, we need new fans. So it's not about just appealing to old people who know everything. We have to try and give us something that new fans can get on board with. So if anything, if people who come along to Starfleet Academy as new fans without a huge amount of like background knowledge of Star Trek look at it and say, this is kind of shit, then you've failed. That's it. There's nothing more complicated to be said about it. You tried to get new fans and you made something which is at once impregnable and undesirable.
I think, yeah, their argument, and this is what you hear a lot from sites like the Mary Sue or just people who are super invested in like the politics of a particular movie or franchise or show or whatever. Their argument boils down to, oh, you thought this was badly written and the characters were idiots and like the writing was moronic and so on. Well, I guess you're a Nazi then. Like that's basically what it comes down to. It's like you clearly don't align with me politically because you picked fault in the show that I like. It's like, okay, it's an argument, I guess. I just think it's retarded.
Maybe this purity testing thing has some viability. Drinkle, let's see if you're a true fan of Wrath of Khan. Was that Ricardo Montalban's real chest or prosthetic?
It's according to him and the director, it's his real chest.
All right, it's fair. I know you knew that because you recognize a real chest.
I mean, game recognizes game, Mauler. It's like, I'd like to run my hand down that chest.
I'm struggling to think of an IP that successfully courted or increased its fan base by changing genre. So with Starfleet Academy, it's not really a sci-fi show. It has a sci-fi opening, but basically it's a high school drama with a Star Trek skin on top of it. So it's changed their attitude as well. If we change our genre and become a high school drama, maybe we'll get those fans. But I can't think. I'm really racking my brain here trying to think. Well, what popular franchise was able to do that successfully? Change genre and as a result grow its fan base.
I mean, not in terms of growing its fan base. You could argue that, say, Star Wars changed its genre with Andor into something much darker, more serious, more politically oriented. Not as opposed to like a space opera, an adventure, all that sort of thing. It certainly got it more critical applause. It just didn't grow the fan base.
In the Star Wars prequels, similarly, but then you're almost changing the word after the genre. Alien and Terminator would be sort of the same thing. Still science fiction fundamentally, but in the case of Alien and Terminator, moving from horror toward action. The Star Wars prequels move away from hero's journey toward tragedy. But again, there's still the core concept is still there, but they are very different stylistic stories. And the prequels maybe increase the fan base, but I think Aliens and Terminator 2 definitely did. But that's not changing the fundamentals of what people liked about the original in the way that Starfleet Academy is doing. So to Esper's point, can't think of one either. There must be an example somewhere.
What are let's say I was offered to write a Star Trek show. My first thought would be, okay, well, the big opportunity with the Star Trek universe is I can take shows and I can go to I can take a cast of characters, put them on a ship, and go to different parts of the galaxy and do interesting things and interesting world buildings and meet new people and new races, and there can be some primitive races that they discover and stuff like that. That's its strength. You can go to all these different places, but Starfleet Academy grounds it. It's completely stationary now. It's almost like the opposite of what Star Trek. It takes Star Trek's biggest strength and it completely obliterates it. It's not just
exploring absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
it's the you could not get further away from Star Trek if you tried. Like the whole point of Star Trek is, the great beyond, like discovery, like go out and discover this vast, galaxy that is out there. Instead, no, let's just hang out in middle school. Let's not do that. I mean, it's the total opposite. It's completely inverted to the spirit and the fundamental creative core of Star Trek.
I mean, Star Trek has delved into stuff like this, most notably, I guess, with Deep Space Nine, where it's less about the exploration aspect and it's more about the political intrigue, the moral dilemmas, the putting the characters into difficult positions and having them make hard choices, which, it can work for sure. I think it didn't necessarily appeal to the core impetus of what Star Trek is, which is why the show didn't necessarily get like huge viewing figures initially, but it's now regarded as one of the best Star Trek TV shows ever made. It can be done, but like that was still done with a framing of it being a serious show with serious characters who were played by mature adults and all that. So it was still tackling those Star Trek issues. It just kind of removed the exploration aspect. This show is just none of that, though. This is just idiots being idiots, like children basically put in idiotic situations and just MacGyvering their way out of it. Like, that's not the same thing. So,
but they don't have the luxury anymore, Drinker. That's the thing. They used to have 26 episodes because these things used to be syndicated. So they could throw away an episode here or there as a bit of filler, a bit of fun with Quark or whatever, and still have time to get back to the pure ethics and the root of Star Trek. This is an 8-episode series. We've had 4 episodes, and there's been bugger all Star Trek in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got the overarching, serial.
Yeah, Caleb looking for his mum.
Which kind of we don't care about. And yeah, like to bring up Despot's point, like if you were just put in charge of Star Trek, it's like, okay, how can we rescue this fucking franchise? It would be get back to basics, do another show that's going to be episodic, at least 15 episodes in that season, where you get to go on just random, interesting adventures. Like they encounter a different species each week. Maybe there's an overarching storyline that touches upon it occasionally, but there is also just bottle episodes. There's episodes, adventures of the week, and getting back into that spirit of exploration again with Star Trek.
So make it cheap, reuse sets, don't try and go in for movie standard CGI, big budget type, massive space battles. None of the drama and the tension in any episode I've ever seen of Star Trek comes from the superb visual effects. Some of the best scenes are just a single camera on the bridge. Like, that's interesting. You can make it for cheap, which also probably better reflects what Star Trek has always been, as well as what Star Trek currently is. It's not, and never was, and it's probably never going to be a Star Wars scale epic. It's always had an immense amount of cultural fondness, but it's never had that same sort of universal mass appeal as a big blockbuster movie trilogy. Stop trying to make it that way. Not everything has to be Star Wars. And they won't do that. I think the budget for this is between $10 and $20 million per episode. And if Kurtzman's contract is up at the end of this year, as you say, then it seems unlikely that it's going to get renewed. This might just be the end of it for a long time.
They've already filmed season 2.
Yeah, they were filmed back to back, and I think this was front loaded with a lot of production costs up front, which is why the sets are so extravagant, because they knew they were going to get at least 2 seasons out of them.
Yeah,
sadly, but yeah, I mean that. Be that as it may, like, okay, they filmed them back to back, so there's nothing you can do about that. But like, whether it would get renewed beyond that, they'd be insane.
Zero chance. I think 0 chance. I mean, I said I would honestly, because at the end of the day, there's still post-production costs and all that kind of stuff to do for the second season. I wouldn't bother.
Just do it as a sunk cost, and take the rebate on it or something. There must be like insurance in place. You Batgirl it, because you're not going to get anything good out of this.
No, it's impossible. If season 1 is already dropped out of the own, considering how much time and effort they spent getting this IP rights back from Netflix for Star Trek Discovery, and it's like, no, we desperately want the Star Trek brand on Paramount, and Netflix eventually said, yeah, okay then. If it's not even in the top 10 on Paramount's own streaming service in season 1, and we're not even, we're basically halfway through season 1, there's nothing good will come of this. And they've locked themselves into it. They've done the stories back to back. It is extremely expensive. They've spent the money already. It's not going to get better. And it sort of goes back to what you were saying, Drinker, about like the different types of franchises in different stages of terminal decline. With the MCU, like, that they are trying to course correct. All the trailers for Doomsday are like saying, hey, remember these characters? You like them. They're coming back. Star Wars is trying to course correct. It's misidentified what course correction looks like because it thinks it's Dave Filoni, but it's trying to course correct. Star Trek has never tried. It's just like, it's the same thing again. We had Star Trek Discovery, which collapsed into parody. Didn't work. Star Trek Picard, principally made because Patrick Stewart wanted to bitch about Brexit. Didn't work. You've had Strange New Worlds, which has 1 or 2 episodes which vaguely resemble the corpse of Star Trek, and then otherwise does weird musical numbers with dancing Klingons. Didn't work. And Starfleet Academy, which is just like, it's doubling down on everything everybody didn't like about all the preceding ones, with seemingly no backup plan in store. So once season 2 of this is out and done, I would be surprised if we saw any more Star Trek on any sized screen for at least 5 years after that point, because they can't keep doing this.
Please,
and the horrible thing is, we have had a series that continues and inherits Gene Roddenberry's vision, and that is the Orville. And yet, you're getting any of it. It's just season 4. I don't know.
To pick up on the point Platoon made there about the musicals, Starfleet Academy, Glee, serious question, how long before the musical episode? That straight up made my soul die watching like Strange New Worlds with that musical number. I know there's like an explanation in universe for why it's happening, but you have to think, what are the optics of having your crew like dancing around and goofing around with this shitty song and dance crap?
So he said, it's like, I've come up with this amazing lore reason for why every character will just be shitting all over the floor for the whole episode. You're like, maybe we don't do that.
Let's just not do that, because like there's a dignity aspect to Star Trek, and it's like you're sacrificing that for what? So you can get a cool little song and dance number in there.
Isn't there one coming up where they're all Muppets?
Oh, what?
Yeah, they're all puppets on the bridge.
What, like an Angel?
Yeah.
Wow.
God, I love that.
I'm not even kidding. It was in the trailer for the new series new season that's coming out. The one that they've chopped into 2, so they can say they got a 5th season.
Joss Whedon being copied to the ends of the fucking era.
Yeah, it seems to be the template they're trying to follow, doesn't it?
Come back, Joss. Also, always
because Buffy and Angel, that's the template you want for Star Trek. That makes sense.
Let's see. Trek culture are another lot who can see no wrong with Starfleet Academy and are so toxic to anyone who says the show is dreadful. Well, I mean, they're just like backing themselves into obscurity, all these legacy outlets, that I guess like a lot of them are just incentivized to be super positive to these shows for access so that they can get interviews with directors, cast, all that sort of thing. But for
I'm guessing that, and also they might not want to get cancelled, they might not want to upset the left and stuff like that,
But like, who are you going to get to watch it? Like, nobody cares about the show anyway, so like it's not going to bring in an audience for you. Platoon was correct. Star Trek should be written for the correct demographic, the true fans, not teenagers. Kids just watch YouTube shows like The Amazing Digital Circus.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't think the kid audience is there regardless. I just don't think it is. Like Star Wars,
it would have been
their core audience too early.
I mean, I'll say, like, when I got into Star Trek for the first time, I was probably like 10, 11 years old and watched Wrath of Khan. I thought it was cool as fuck. But like, yeah, a teenager back in like the early 90s is not the same as a teenager today. Like, there's a myriad of distractions for them that we never had to deal with back then. And I think most of them just don't have the interest in something like Star Trek. It's not a brand that they probably even connect with in any way that would get them interested in something like this. It doesn't have that recognition, whereas it did maybe when I was a kid. there was still like a mystique around Star Trek. We don't have that now.
But even that was through my dad drinker. Like I see my dad watching reruns of the original series. I'd sit there and watch it with him.
Yeah.
And then when that ended and we got Next Generation, we moved on to that. And then that made me a fan. But it was through the older generation. What dad's going to want to show their kids this? Nobody.
That's an important part of it, because I wouldn't. You're right that kids do have way more distractions, but kids haven't actually been given the choice. Like there hasn't been a Star Trek to give them a choice to compete with all the modern distractions in the way that, it's not that the earlier generations had no distractions. Something made you sit down to watch a show rather than going outside, seeing friends, playing video games, reading a book, watching anything else that was available on TV. There was still quite a large element of choice that went into it. It gave you something, and you're right, parents are quite important in that as well. Being able to sit down and watch something with older members of your own family is one way into something you might not have encountered otherwise. There are lots of things you can do to give young people a choice, which might make more of them interested than are presently the case. Whereas if all you're doing now is giving them a worse version of the thing that they're distracted by, then what's the point? Why would they go and watch Starfleet Academy when they can watch people being retarded on YouTube instead?
Like here.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm sure we've got far more viewers than the Starfleet Academy premiere.
Well, yeah, we're close to 10,000 viewers, so we've got roughly 5-6 times what they managed to get for that first episode. So I think we're doing okay.
Oh, leave them alone. They're a budding channel on YouTube. They're trying, just to make
Paramount
it out
Plus.
there.
They've only got 1.5 million subscribers, so they're just struggling, trying to get
this first video.
Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk have a podcast on YouTube called Once We Were Spacemen. I'm sure Maul is very aware of this.
I need to start listening to
that. I've been waiting for an open bar with Platoon to ask this question. Have any or others on the panel played Final Fantasy X? And if you have, what did you think of it? Cheers and thanks. I've played it. I've completed it. The overall story is actually quite interesting, and it didn't have an ending that I expected or necessarily saw coming, and it's not a happy ending necessarily, but the main character is a fucking dick, and he's so annoying. I'm trying to remember his goddamn name. Like, people are checking. Titus, yes, Titus, yeah.
I got so fed up with him, mate, I gave up.
Because the whole aesthetic theme of this game is like surfer dudes. Right, it's always on beaches. Everyone's like kind of surfer guy with like Hawaiian shirts and shit. And it's like, well, okay, it's a big departure from like 7, which is all steampunky stuff, and 8, which is like hyper futuristic, and that, and whatever the fuck 9 was is like medieval. So it's something very different there. Oren, I remember being a really cool character. I did like him. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I think people like look back more fondly on 10 than I do. I'll say that much.
I've never played any Final Fantasy game, and it's one of those that I've been meaning. I keep thinking I should, but I don't know where to start.
Yeah, I'm also. They release in a wacky order, right? Is their thing.
Yeah.
So.
Play 7.
4 is my favorite.
Start at 7 and end there.
Oh, okay.
Probably where I would go with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure anything past 7's worth playing, but I really like the story behind Final Fantasy 4. I thought it was really good. Love the twins. They're brilliant.
4 and 7, fair enough.
Quick question here. Drinker Mahler's been playing Expedition 33 and he likes it. Holy shit. He spent 3+ hours on a boss. I wonder if you guys will talk about it when he finishes.
It was like 2 hours.
Which boss was it?
He was a icy big chungus man who was when I arrived at him, all the chat were like, don't. I was like, if I even see a chance that I can take him out, I'll probably want to take it. Though I encountered something called like Sprongo, and it annihilated me without any chance. There's a couple of like things you can fight early that are
that you probably shouldn't.
But I've got some kind of gene where sometimes if I see a chance, I'm like, I want to do it. And I did eventually take him out. It was very funny too, because he killed my team when I got him down to like 5% health, and my backup came out that I wasn't using. That I just needed to do the parries, and I won. So I was just like, stay in.
Every time I've had a battle that's gone to like the backup team, I've always lost. Like I
lost every time it happened, except this one, and he managed to make it through. It was close though. It was fucking nail biter.
You know what's frustrating is like usually when the backup team arrives, like the boss has got like 5 turns in a row before you get to even do anything, and it's like you just get pummeled to death.
Well, yeah. Did you? Well, so have you completed it or?
Yes.
So, did you fight that thing that like jumps on you a million times? It just keeps going boom, boom, boom. It's like a big rock. It's got a face. Chad probably knows its name.
Like this.
A big rock with a face.
Is it optional or is you have to fight it?
I think he's optional. So I bumped into him, and you do like barely any damage to him, no matter what move you do. And I was like, I have no idea what's happening, and I kept parrying him over and over again. I was about to give up because it wasn't doing anything, and literally like on the last run of parries, he just fell over and died, and I was like, oh, you just have to parry him like 100 times or something.
Oh, fair enough. No, I don't think I fought him actually. I probably did like mostly critical path stuff, like all those optional bosses that are hard as fucking nails. I just thought, nah, I don't want to fight you. I don't need that kind of.
I think you and I may have played in opposite ways. The story bosses for me have been dying really quickly, but that's
yeah. I mean, the story bosses are fine until you get to the end. They are quite challenging by the end because you get a series of them, like where you get no time to recover between, and it's like, fuck, yeah, that can mess you up.
I've been having fun though. It is fun.
No, it's a good game. I liked it. Yeah. Thank you all for doing what you do. Here's a whole $5 for each of you. Thank you very much, my friends. Yeah, I guess I want to move beyond Star Trek because, man, we got to leave this behind. It's too depressing. Some of us, I think, mostly all of us, have seen Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Would I be right in saying that?
No.
Yeah, like I think, you know, we came into this like I've been a bit jaded on the whole Game of Thrones universe at this point, right? We know Game of Thrones ended on a bum note to end all bum notes. Not necessarily loving House of the Dragon, especially with season 2. I was like, God, this is bleak. God, it's slow, and
it's
God,
only going to get bleaker.
And I
Dragon,
just
anyway.
kind of hate everyone in it. And so, you know, what we needed was something to balance that out, right? And I feel like this is what we got with Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It is, in contrast to all those like labyrinthine plots that are just like move at a snail's pace and there's a million different things going on. This is a super simple story of a guy who just wants to get a bit of respect. He wants to become a knight and win a jousting tournament. That's kind of it, but then he gets drawn into something a little bit bigger along the way. It's a nice little self-contained adventure, and I kind of like it. I like that it's cozy fantasy in a lot of ways. It's still got that Game of Thrones edge in some ways, but I had a lot of fun in the first couple of episodes.
It's funny, I watched the first episode and I came away with a take that I think a lot of people did, which was like, it was fine. Seems like it's setting some stuff up. Who knows? There we go. And then when I found out that the book would take me 2.5 hours or 3 hours or whatever, I was like, oh, I'll do that. Fuck it. And then I rewatched the episode with Fringy, and I was like, oh, this is actually much better than I thought. Because it's like they've done all of the work they need to do. And then episode 2 came out, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good show. They're not fucking this up. They know what they're doing.
It's the one thing that I was slightly hesitant about because I had similar-ish experience. I mean, I'd read all of the Duncan Egg stuff before going into it, but had the similar take on episode 1 in the sense that if I pretended that I hadn't done that, what would I think of episode 1? Like, is there enough for a general audience member to really get hooked by in a 30 to 40 minute episode where, like, if you know what's coming, you can see loads of stuff that's being set up. If you don't know what's coming, what's it like for people? And I was kind of wondering, I'm fairly confident now that it's going to go on to be pretty good. It's so far extremely accurate for the most part. That always helps. The story it's accurate to is a good story. The scope will enlarge, but not at the expense of the charm that it has. All of that's fine. So I know that it's going somewhere good, but that's because I already knew it was going somewhere good. So for anyone who hasn't read it, is there enough there to sort of latch onto? I think episode 2 partially solves that problem, but I'd be curious if anyone here has seen it without reading it, what you made of it.
I mean, I hadn't.
I've seen it, not read it, and I'm enjoying it a lot. In fact, it's the first fantasy show I've really enjoyed since Game of Thrones, because I know it's a very low bar. It's stuff like The Witcher and The Wheel of Time and Rings of Power, just absolute trash. So I've been watching that stuff recently because I'm working on my award show at the minute, and I mention all these crappy fantasy shows from last year.
Yeah.
So I've been watching them, and dear Christ, they're bad. And I identified one of the biggest problems with modern fantasy is what I call plot hopping, and it's where the plot just can't stand still. It has to hop from one region, one story to another region, another story, another region, another story. I give an example in this video I'm going to release tomorrow or the next day, where there's a scene in I keep fucking confusing the Wheel of Time and The Witcher because they look identical. They even have they both have a lesbian couple.
Shit, Rings of Power looks the same as all them as well.
They all look the same, and I think it's Wheel of Time. And there's this Indian girl who's going through these mystical arches, which she must survive so that she can enter the higher echelons of the League of Diverse Women. And it was the only time I was invested because I wanted to see what happens when she enters these arches. But the show then plot hops, it jumps to these filler scenes. There's like 4 filler scenes of people talking shite. And none of it's important. It just evaporates from your brain the second the scene is over. And then it goes back to the arches. And it's just this hideous fucking plot hopping where you cannot get invested in anything because they keep jumping the fucking story around because they want to imitate the epic scale of early Game of Thrones. It's horrible to watch, and all of the modern fantasy shows do it. What I really loved about Night of the Seven Kingdoms is that it just let me enjoy the fucking story that was on screen. It wasn't pulling me away to some other region that also looks like downtown LA before then pulling me to another region that also looks like downtown LA. It was just it's one guy doing his thing, and I was able to follow him along, and I wasn't having to remember a million different names, and it was all quite clear and simple. And there is a lot going on. You know, it's a clever, charming show, but they get a lot of the fundamentals right. For a start, the character's actually likable. That helps. Especially when you've watched Starfleet Academy.
Yeah,
it's a show that gets all the fundamentals right and is avoiding all of the mistakes that modern fantasy makes.
It does, like, because there's a moment, right, where it's like he picks up the sword for the first time and the Game of Thrones music, like, kicks in, and it's like, oh, this is a proper epic fantasy moment, and then it just immediately cuts to him taking a shit beside the tree. And it's like, okay, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, it's a very obvious fucking, like, oh, look at us subverting, like, the heroic fantasy trope with this grounded, like, moment. It's like, okay,
I think it's the weakest point of both episodes is that both episodes begin with a kind of joke a bit like that, which is like, and like, I don't necessarily think they're even that bad, but it's like it's by far the least subtle and interesting. It's the most meta of all of it, and it's the first joke in both episodes. And as soon as it gets over that, it almost seems like it's not quite confident of itself in the first scene. It really wants to tell the audience this is the tone we're going for. But then it settles down, and actually the diegetic humor in it is pretty good. There's lots of quite funny stuff that just happens perfectly naturally in the course of dialogue, such that you don't really need the shitting scene, and you don't even need the giant prosthetic penis scene because they aren't really reflective of the tone of everything else.
You could skip that 10 inches and it'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah, and whether you want to is not the question.
They just both movies worked like crazy for me. And I was watching the second one with Gary and Riggy, right?
That's because you're the long man.
What are you talking about? You fucking make fart jokes all the time. So, like, when the giant cock appeared, I think Gary was like, "Whoa!" Just like laughing my ass off already because it's such an obvious, like, they just want to shock you and be like, yeah, look what we fucking got in you. And it's like, I don't know. I kind of in sync with the creators on that one. I was like, that's funny. Anyway, moving on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like, the characters, I think Duncan's great. Duncan the Tall.
I like him as a character. I think they picked the perfect actor to play him.
He's good
because he is. Yeah, he's like Sam from Lord of the Rings. Ultimately, like good-hearted, fairly simple, like maybe a little bit gullible, but a good person, and just trying to like make his way and do something good. And I think that's great. It's nice to see a person like that, like thrust into the Game of Thrones world, and not just be made a laughing stock. Like
where traditionally good people do not do well.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's the thing that's really soured me on the whole Game of Thrones world over the years, this idea of like, well, we can't have heroes. The very concept of a traditional hero is outmoded now, and it needs to be like, replaced by something much more cynical, much more like morally gray. And these heroes that you used to look up to, like they're just going to get killed off because that's what would happen to them. It's like, oh, come on, fuck off. Stop trying to be so fucking edgy, George, you fat bastard. But like, that just gets old itself after a while. Like it's like trying to replace one trope with another, which then becomes tedious unto itself. But like this is something that feels just a bit more honest and real, and I appreciate that. I like it.
I mean, it comes from his work, so I guess you'd have to roll back those statements, huh?
Well, to a degree, but then this isn't
it?
when this is like some little novella or something. It's not something that you have to, as an author, care too much about. It's like, yeah, you can afford to take a little chance. You can go against the grain with it a little bit, but ultimately, maybe he struck gold with something like this and hit upon something that people actually want.
According to him, he has as many as 10 more Duncan Egg chapters to make, like novellas or whatever. So I think he does care a bunch about the characters. And of course,
to avoid Winds of Winter, buddy.
Oh, he's
I wasn't a George R.R. Martin boycott, but because this is a little self-contained thing, I thought, fuck it, I'll check it out, kind of thing. But I think Despot's right. I think it's the simplicity of the story that lends itself to the accessibility.
I'm simple.
Yes, I mean, it'll get more complex as time goes on. Obviously, as has been mentioned, that you will get the conspiracy that sort of more happens around Dunk than it happens because of him. It allows his fundamental and essential goodness to sort of be more emphasized, because even when plotting does start, he kind of remains the same simple, stolid person with a good sort of value set, uncomplicated. Who is sort of thrust into a bigger story. But there is also the other side of it, which is that because it's one thing to have your hero be heroic, but it's another thing to allow other characters to be good as well.
Yes.
And early Game of Thrones did do this, I think, more than it's often remembered. Most people sort of just remember Game of Thrones, what it became from, say, like season 4 onwards, where it is just hyper cynical. There are no good people. Any hero will probably die. But in the first 4, you have characters like Tyrion, to an extent, Varys. You've got, obviously, Ned Stark does die. But you have a few surviving characters who are not uncomplicatedly cynical or evil or villainous. It's only after season 4 that everything sort of becomes incredibly bleak, and that's become the meta now. Whereas, when you have that situation that you try to imagine yourself in that world, and you think, where the fuck does anybody have fun? Like, what does anyone look up to? What does anyone respect in anyone or anything if every single position of authority is undermined by the person within it? But what you get in the Night of the Seven Kingdoms is not just Dunk, who's fundamentally a good character, but you also have some good highborn characters. You have the Kingsguard is actually not just what it became under Joffrey. It's like you can see why people look up to it and the people who made it there. There's actually is a degree of meritocracy, I suppose you can say, in how the world functions, which would inspire the small folk to look up to their betters. It's more, there is more happiness overall in the story. And obviously, like, it won't all end well for everyone, but you're shown characters even in positions of nobility and royalty who are not cynical. Some of them are actually quite upstanding, which is a nice change from what the meta became after Game of Thrones season 4,
which is an interesting additional context, considering like the whole point with Robert Baratheon's reign is that he allows way too much of like snakes and rats to get too close, to get too much power, to basically tear the kingdom apart right before he doesn't realize it until too late, sort of thing. So this taking place near 100 years before those events, it's like, like it squares a different context, which again, if everything was actually complete. Because for the record, by the way, that statement about the additional Duncan Egg stuff, he said I don't think he's done any since he made that statement, which was like 10 years ago. so yeah, it's just even more things that he hasn't done.
It's not a super recent thing, then. I thought this was something he made within the last 5 years.
No,
I think he wrote it in the 90s, right? The first one, he's written 3, and he's given the outlines for up to 12 more to the guy who's the showrunner for this season.
But like,
Jesus,
had he completed all of Duncan Egg, had he written in full detail the actual like Fire and Blood, all the history there, and then all of a song, like just everything, and they adapted it all into one enormous TV show that was like 100 seasons, it would be interesting to talk about it in totality for what maybe the overall point is. But as Platoon's just pointed out, it's like there's like different things to draw from A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, while simultaneously being like, well, it is a part of the universe, and it's also a high budget, high production HBO show. And so how does it like as a variable or a different dimension with the other two shows? It's kind of interesting for contrast. But I just really appreciate, like, it's just a guy. He's a good person. He's trying to make it through, and his sincerity, how it cuts into other people in this world, like specifically the there's like the whores and the smith, who are both ready
why
to
do you
sort of
mock me? Yeah.
they're both like
with
sort
this...
of ready to be like, don't take advantage of me, while insulting him somewhat, and that he's just like, oh well, don't do that, or oh shit, I don't have the money, oh well, I'll go. And at both times they're like, oh, you seem kind of like nice. Like you seem like that.
He's like a little puppy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's good to know that like not everyone in this world is just gonna like use and abuse him or take advantage of him and screw him over and stuff. Like they've got a little bit of compassion for someone who's just trying to be a good person and trying to make his way, and sometimes they might be willing to do him a little favor.
Even the Hand of the King wasn't a complete prick to him, so it's quite nice.
Dude, Baylor's awesome. I hope to see more of him, and the Laughing Storm. That was as much as there's some age issues and some possible height issues, but the spirit of the characters, like the energy each of these actors bring in, they're like spot on. Very much looking forward to it.
I like it. Like I'm way more interested and excited to watch this than I am for House of the Dragon. And I
thought of that because I read the books before House of the Dragon came out. So it is going places. It is going to perhaps slightly more familiar places in the sense that all has to end in a particular way, and that way is maybe more of a piece with people's general perceptions of the franchise than A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is.
So they had the writer's strike at the same time as those final 2 episodes getting chopped off, meaning they were fucked, right? They couldn't change anything, and like legally, and so they didn't get that final fight. Which, as much as I've got many issues with what happens to certain characters in that season, had it ended with the fight that's going to happen now at the beginning of season 3, I think people will be much more positive and engaged with House of the Dragon. That I seriously think HBO fucked up big time by chopping that off.
I kind of agree, but then at the same time, like the fundamental tone and like ethos of House of the Dragon, basically since season 1, like since Viserys died, since we lost him, I felt less invested in the show.
I get what you're saying, because like I've seen
he was like the anchor that like kept everything held together, like emotionally.
You are completely right, because that's like what they go right. Like his death destroys the whole family. Like they all want to take each other out. So like it's hard. The notion of like I'm not sure who to back, or I don't like everything's so bleak and everyone's dying. It's like that is the story.
But it's also correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also like the question of, do I particularly care who I back with House of the Dragon?
Well, I mean,
yeah, because
if you know how it goes, it's not going to matter too much who you back.
Yeah,
and that's the fundamental problem with this show, where it's like there's a bunch of well-written characters played by good actors that I just don't give a shit about because they're not likable people. Like they've got no good qualities about them that I root for. And so when I'm not rooting for anyone, it's very difficult to be invested in the show because there's no dramatic tension about whether or not my favorite character is going to succeed or fail or whatever, or the person I hate is going to get their comeuppance, because it's all just this like morally gray soup. The
other problem with that is in terms of the stakes, and this is something that Night of the Seven Kingdoms does brilliantly. It establishes its stakes very well, because I haven't read the book, so I don't know what happens in the tourney, but it makes it very clear that Duncan has everything riding on this tournament. Like, if he loses this, and he's probably going to lose it, because it's, even if you're a very skilled, experienced knight, you probably still lose a tournament just due to the sheer math of it. It's almost like winning a poker tournament. You can be, you're because there's so many things that has to go right for you to win. So if he loses this, he basically loses everything. He's going to be completely impoverished. He's not going to be able to ransom back his horse and armor and sword and things like that. So he really needs to win, but you do get the sense that he's probably not going to win, because he's been a spectator at the first joust, and the whole point of that scene is to show how skillful and how well armored and how experienced and how well trained these house princelings are. and that he's kind of out of his depth here. You know, it's kind of like a local boxer showing up to try to fight an experienced pro. He's just going to get hammered. But, you know, who knows? Maybe he'll win the tournament. And I'm really invested. I'm really interested in seeing what happens in the tournament, because it could go anywhere. He could go in and it could be a reality check. He could go up against a real knight who's been properly trained and who, you know, annihilates him in 30 seconds. Or he could, you know, put in a really good showing. And it turns out he has been very well trained by his something of a degenerate master. But the problem with House of Dragon, so there's real stakes there. I actually care about the outcome of the event. But in House of Dragon, it's like, well, if this dickhead doesn't take power, some other dickhead will take power. And ultimately, there's no ideological difference between those two factions of the family. And so it doesn't really matter to the average peasant or to the kingdom in general who wins the war. It's just a power struggle between dickheads. So I don't really care about the outcome.
And that kind of thing might have worked if they were super likable. And it's like, well, there's a tragic element to like two factions that I really like. I totally see where both of them are coming from, and I really like both of them because they're actually really good people. And that, like, watching them tear each other apart is just like horrifying, but like also you're compelled to watch it. But again, that's that problem with House of the Dragon, where it's like, as you say, it's a bunch of selfish dickheads who I don't care who wins because they're all horrible.
It's amusing because Alicent and Rhaenyra have like lost my investment in both of them by the end of season 2, but ironically, I'm still kind of invested in their subordinates in a sense, like Daemon and Otto. But that could very well be because of how fucking amazing both those actors are as well.
I was going to say,
I do. The writing for, if you remember, like Otto has a fucking brilliant scene in his second episode, but then he's just gone for the whole season after it. And I was like, fucking hell. You know, I'm not saying he can carry the show or anything, but it would have been nice to have more of him. I know, because this is canon wise, like what they're adapting, Otto's story kind of fizzles out at that point. But what I was going to say was, like, with what you were talking about there, Despot, what I think is going to work out in this show's favor is this, judging from having read the book, this season is going to have, like, the whole thing is kind of about the notion of a knight and the sort of the world. Has it lost its, like, senses on the importance of what knights represent and stuff? So as to whether or not you can, like, make it through this tournament that's going to be coming up, it's I think you'll be interested in where the story's going to weave and end up tuning into, because you know, like, I've had a friend who's
going to get more Machiavellian as time goes on. It is a Game of Thrones kind of universe.
Sure. Like, well,
it's going to remain pretty simple, like, it's straightforward, but it will get, like, so a friend of mine was like, it's so nice to not have to involve like a million royal families, and I was like, oh, we'll be involved in some royal families. It's gonna happen, but
the Machiavellianism is around, as opposed to the product of Duncan has been mentioned earlier. So, like, he will encounter all of this stuff. Although you would expect a degree of scheming to happen because it is a George R.R. Martin story, but it's not. Yeah, exactly. That doesn't overtake the strength of the core idea, which is essentially the rugged knight who's not particularly clever, and the unlikely friendship he strikes up with the small kid who is well educated, knows all of these courtroom dramas, but doesn't necessarily have the education in simple, good old-fashioned values. And that's sort of the clash of those two, and how they complement each other's strengths is what gives the entire story its sort of emotional appeal.
And that's what I would say about these three shows. If Game of Thrones is, you know, the kingdom loses its major king that took out the Targaryens, and every other faction basically believes they should be on the throne, and that's what it's all about. And House of the Dragon is the house being as strong as it ever was, tearing itself apart, not from other people, because it loses the, so to speak, the anchor. Then what is this show about? It's like, to me, and I'm hoping they come through on this, it's like the true essence of a knight. And you know, it's not necessarily about riches or your status within a particular family. It's about much more than that.
Well, it's the nobility without the noble title, isn't it? You know, that's the
well, that's why you've got the concept of the Hedge Knights, which are not like, they don't have big castles to them, their name, they don't have lands and so on, but like, they, I guess, in theory, embody the heroic virtues of the knights and try to uphold them as best they can. But they're seen as like lesser, obviously, than like these fully fledged knights that command great authority. But yeah,
it's like,
in
it's
some
like
cases,
a bastard knight, I suppose, isn't it?
Basically, yeah, like they're peasant knights, but you know, they can embody those heroic virtues of being a knight and basically be an example to like the lower classes. And I think Duncan like describes them as like a bridge between like the common folk and the highborn, which I think is a nice way of looking at it. You know, they can give them the lowborn something to aspire to that might be within their reach if they can they can.
I mean, he's not like there's a lot of we see the comparison. There's a lot of knights that are dickheads, and Duncan's he's not a dickhead. You know what I mean? He understands that commoner's perspective, I suppose. So he doesn't treat, you know, he's sort of firm, but he doesn't treat people as arseholes. He doesn't, you know, kick people about and all that kind of stuff. So there is an aspect to it of he is, as you say, that bridge between the two levels.
There's a philosophical aspect
on the ear.
Sorry, go ahead, Muller.
No, it's just the thing about, like, you know, he keeps saying, "I'll give you a clout on the ear," but he like never actually does it.
It's like the montage of like his knight beating the like one point he clips him on the side of his head and knocks him into a pillar.
Yeah, that's the philosophical aspect of Duncan that I like. Is at the end of episode 2, he kind of realizes that he's watching these jousts, and you know he thinks about how, and there's a really nice contrast in that scene, by the way. It's one of those elements of the show that you watch the show and it seems very simple at first, but then you pay attention and you realize, wow, there's a lot going on here. So Egg is just completely in the moment. He's like a kid at a football game, just totally enraptured by the spectacle. Whereas Duncan is clearly thinking about something. He's really looking at it, and it affects him psychologically. And you know, it's when he realizes that for all of his masters, 60 years and his decades of being a knight, he never actually won any of these tourneys. He never amounted to much, and he spent all his money drinking and whoring. And he ended up being buried at the side of a road and forgotten about, and no one remembers his name. And I think it's being at the tourney and asking around, and he's only actually being, for all the people he asks, he can only find one guy who even remembers his master. And in that moment, he realizes, Jesus, like this isn't actually someone I want to emulate. And so he's realizing that rather than try to emulate his old master, he can honor his old master, but he has to become his own man. Things like that. That's really deep, you know. And it's very much something that I think any man with a bit of life experience can relate to. And
yeah, I mean,
it's a great,
that is very absent in modern media, so I appreciated it for that as well.
I mean, it's a classic character journey for us to go on, and it's a great window into this world as well. Because, like, when we take something like Game of Thrones as an example, most of the characters that we connect with are already highborn, like they're the sons of or daughters of lords and so on. So they're already people of great consequence, and they get then wrapped up in these bigger events, and this huge like spectrum of people that are involved in it. This is like a guy who's just like really not the lowest of the low, but he is pretty far down the social pecking order, and he just has an aspiration to be something a little bit more than what he is, right? So it's a simple story, and it's a ground level view of the world of Westeros, which I love, like the idea that he's going to try and like take his first step into this much more competitive world, and that scene where he's watching the jousting tournament take place, this is his realization of like, well, as big and strong as I am, holy shit, I am up against people who are massively experienced, who are way better at fighting than I am, possibly than I'll ever be. This is a realization of, wow, this is an enormous world of challenges that is now opening up before me. Am I even ready to take this first step into it, or am I going to fall at the first hurdle? Because I can't afford to keep losing like some of these guys can.
And it's only the exhibition match as well, basically. So it's not even like this isn't full thing yet, and it's still already like looks very impressive.
Yeah, but it means a lot to him. It means a lot to us as the audience, because we're now attuned to this level of Westeros, like this ground level, and every like thing that he has to give up, like when he has to trade in a horse in order to make enough money.
Oh man, I love that scene.
But that's a
he gives him back some money and says, "Oh, give us some oats and an apple."
Yeah, a very simple transaction, a very simple scene, but it means a lot to us as the audience because we know what it means to the character. He doesn't want to do it, but it's something he's had to sacrifice in order to progress and like take on this bigger challenge. Great, that's good storytelling right there. Doesn't have to be super complicated, but it just has to get that emotional investment going. That's
that
what I like about
motion
the show.
of stakes, right? You don't need a dragon burning down a castle. We've literally got a guy who's like, so I got 3 horses. I could sell one to get the money at a discount for selling the armor of my master to get armor for myself that I will lose if I lose the tourney, which will fuck my whole life, basically. And like we follow it all. It's very simple. And we're just like, oh man, I hope he could do this. I hope he can even get that horse back.
And
well, this is what you're saying about.
That's all they had to do. They had to make you hope that he succeeds. They've written
and this
a good
is what they did
character
with Game of
that you
Thrones.
like.
You saw the Starks get kicked again and again and again and again, and you're just like, man, I hope they get something. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and they did really come through on the North Remembers stuff.
They really didn't.
Might just be worth throwing out this. I think the cost per episode for this is less than half the cost per episode for Starfleet Academy is. I think it's $6 million an episode for this show.
I mean, you can tell, like it's not that say that it looks bad or anything, but you can tell that they were just judicious about how they spent their money, and they didn't need to go for big sweeping vistas. And but you know, the result, it's like, well, it kind of feels like nice and grounded and lived in and just real. And
it's small scale. It's focused as well. Obviously, they had to build the one very big location for the tournament, but that's not compared to prior seasons of other Game of Thrones related shows. That isn't a huge amount. And it works as well because you are sitting in this period in history where House Targaryen is in decline. So you almost don't need to spend a huge amount of money portraying very rich people because there aren't that many of them around anymore. Like this house is on the way out already. And everyone else is sort of still there lesser, but coming more to a more equal footing. So all you need to do massive cost-wise, besides obviously casting, is find yourself one primary location, set most of your action and drama there, but then make most of the important scenes not rely on spectacle. A couple of spectacle scenes in your season will be enough. The rest of it is all the things we've just been talking about. You can get so much dramatic satisfaction out of a character selling his horse, and so much more than you can out of spaceships flying around shooting lasers and explosions at each other. It's just like one of these is character-led and interesting, and the other one isn't.
But even from a spectacle perspective, there has only been one set piece so far, and that's the joust, the exhibition joust, and it's beautifully filmed. It looks excellent, and the lighting as well. Especially people complain all the time now about how fucking awful night scenes are lit in modern media, how wretched they look. It's a really beautifully lit night scene. Excellent set piece, looks great. It's not that long, but it looks great. You compare that with the fucking battle at the start of, and I hate to bring it up, but like Starfleet Academy, their set pieces are dreadful. They look like shit. They're badly filmed.
The amount of lens flare, man.
The lens for the lighting is wrong. It's ugly as hell. It's very janky. The way the characters interact with it is not believable. So the set it's very poor from a directorial perspective. But even though this costs less, everything's just done much better. Really nicely filmed action, and I'm looking forward to the tourney not only for the plot elements, but because I want to see the spectacle, because it looked so good.
Yeah, but that's what it does when it sets the expectations at this grounded level. Like, then any moment of action becomes super significant because you haven't been bombarded with this, cacophony of big set PCs and spectacle and stuff that then desensitizes you. You become hypersensitive to it. So it's like,
nobody's expecting a CGI dragon to suddenly turn up, are they? Let's face it.
Yeah, but it's like, this is how you do it. You start small and gradually build up your world and take your characters along with you because they're your window into it and they're the ones you care about. Great. You're doing everything right. Just carry on with this. It's fine.
The dialogue for Duncan Egg as well. A lot of it obviously comes from the books, but like there's just a lot of really fun interactions. We were talking about like the simplicity of it. There's like a cleverness to how they get simple shit funny. Like, the whole, I'm small and I'm weak. I don't know if I'm going to grow up. People say that about me. And then
he's like,
Doug's like, well, yeah, Doug says people would call me stupid.
Yeah.
it's just the silence.
Just out of curiosity, is this, how long before the fall of the Targaryens is this?
100? I think it's 100.
Well, so the fall of the Targaryens is like 30 years prior to, or is it 10 years? It's like 10 or 20 years prior to Game of Thrones, right? Like that's where the Targaryen line is wiped out, except for Daenerys.
Yeah.
So this is like Well, so this is set 100 years before that show, so like I guess 80 years. I'm not the best person to ask, but it's something like that.
It's about 100 because you can sort of chart it by Maester Aemon's age in Game of Thrones, can't you? Because he's
so I don't have to worry about Egg suddenly being revealed as being Brienne of Tarth or something stupid like that. Then
no, but if this went on for this is the thing, this is going to take over the source material. Obviously, it's inevitable. So we're gonna have to get really fucking worried if we get 3 awesome seasons. And then we're on to season 4. It's like, here we go. But you know, the further along it goes, the more you might start hearing names you recognize from Game of Thrones because it's catching up. Like Tywin, little baby Tywin, maybe in fucking 50 years from now.
What's his story? I like this one. We were talking about the poor state of fantasy last week. I agree. As a palate cleanser, I took my nephew to see Lord of the Rings 25th anniversary. He loved it. His dad doesn't like it, so someone had to educate him. Yeah, I hope you educated him hard on that one.
Extended edition or nothing.
Did you see? There was a post that was like, I went to see Lord of the Rings with my girlfriend, and or they saw it in their house. And once Boromir had died, she said, "Good, I hated him," and he said, "Should I break up with her?"
Yep.
It's like, yes, it's too late.
She's
my wife
retarded
doesn't
and
like
horrible.
Lord of the Rings. Still married her.
Yeah. Here's one. Mauler, any opinions on Return to Silent Hill? Also, are you a Silent Hill game fan?
I'm afraid I've got zero familiarity or investment in Silent Hill. I don't know anything about it.
I have seen Return to Silent Hill. Anyway,
that's why he wears the sunglasses. You can't see the haunted look in his eyes.
Yeah, it's it fundamentally tries to alter the essence of what Silent Hill, because it takes Silent Hill 2 as its inspiration, right? So it's all about James and more. Even though you're not a fan of the games, you must know at least what the plot.
I know the memes. Yeah. I know him and his wife, whatever, and then I know what Pyramid Head represents and how they fucked that up.
Whatever, so they did all that, but then like they rewrote the backstory. So like instead of him like smothering his wife to death because she was making him fucking miserable because she'd been dying from like some horrible illness for years, it's like actually she's part of some weird religious death cult in Silent Hill that had been poisoning her, and then he leaves because they have an argument one day, and then he like reconnects with her like a year later and she's dying, and then she's like, "Go and just kill me," and he's like, "Okay," and then does that. And then he gets real sad, goes away for a while, and then comes back again because he gets a letter from her. And that's what kicks off then the events of this. So it robs the whole thing of its emotional impact because he's not responsible for any of the stuff that happened, really. It's like bringing in elements from Silent Hill 1 into Silent Hill 2. So, yeah, it's just a bit of a mess. And I don't understand why they did it. So it completely misses the point of the game. And really, it's just a mashup of a bunch of stuff that you vaguely recognize, particularly from the Silent Hill 2 remake. Like remember this enemy, remember this location? Well, it's here. And we don't really have enough time to go into the context of it because this is like a 90-minute movie. And yeah, it's
the first film I thought was half all right, though. I mean, it's been a while, but
it's some fucking masterpiece compared to this. And it's the same guy who made it.
Same director too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's why people had hope, right?
Like, yeah, because this was a passion project for him. Like he had to like get private financing for this one.
Oh, that's a shame.
In order to make it work. So he probably shouldn't have bothered. Mauler, you got to do something for me. Say the word pattern.
Pattern.
Like the general.
Well, there you go. I hope it was worth £20. So
I'm glad I could complete that task. Next one.
Are we just going to make Mauler say words for the rest of the night?
It's the Mauler spelling bee.
And I just have to say the word. I don't even have to spell it. It's great.
A Mauler speaking bee, I guess.
Speaking bee, yeah.
I'm in Canada. I'm wondering where I can see Mauler and Drinkers movies. It's a state of mind that you have to get into in order to see them. You can't go to a specific place. No, like what we're probably going to do is... particularly with the movies that we made in Canada, we're going to do a premiere for them in Toronto in, I guess, May at the latest, because that's when all the post-production stuff will be long since finished. So you'll be able to see it then, and then we'll just release them onto YouTube anyway. So if you can't make it, it's fine. You'll get to see it one way or the other. So not to worry. What's this one? Have any of you guys seen the Amelia AI videos spoofing the UK anti-immigration video game? Also, Drinker, finding Scully hot is such a Scottish thing to say. My surname is Scully, and I love the X-Files. I mean, great, but yeah, Scully in the X-Files was fucking hot. Gillian Anderson in the 90s was smoking hot. It's not a Scottish thing. I'm pretty sure Americans would find her hot.
I was going to say.
Amelia's good. That's I think actually I read a post on X that you wrote, Platoon, about death of the author. That was good.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good demonstration of it in action, right?
It's a very good.
The media thing's just absolutely crazy. Only our government could come up with an anti-extremist game, target it solely towards white males, and somehow generate a patriotic right-wing icon out of it. I'm just wow.
Leave it to the internet. They'll always make it happen. And yeah, like,
what happens if we make the extremist this kind of cute, skinny, alt goth girl with purple hair and a choker?
Yeah, beware radicalization, or you might get a girlfriend. It's not exactly a winning message.
Threatening us with a good time there. Yeah, the other thing I was curious to get your guys' thoughts on was Highlander, right? It's a bit of a cult classic from the 80s, and it's now getting a reboot with Henry Cavill in the lead role, replacing Christopher Lambert, and Dave Bautista, for some reason, replacing Clancy Brown as the Kurgan, as the...
Oh, no, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm getting Running Man vibes, guys. I don't like it.
I'm not sure. I mean, so they've released a couple of stills that we've got of Henry Cavill playing Connor McLeod. So we got the first one here, and then I don't think I can do both of them at the same time. Oh yeah, they just switch. So this is our first look at him in the lead role. I mean, you do kind of assume like Henry Cavill is a bit of a geek when it comes to all this stuff, so I feel like he would not want to sign on for something like this unless it was at least trying to do justice to the source material. I guess I would reserve judgment on it until I've seen it, but yeah, remakes of these 80s classics traditionally don't have a great track record. And this is a tough one to bring back.
Not 80s, but The Crow 2024 was great.
Superb, yeah.
Nice.
They really got the essence of that character, didn't they?
Yeah. Really revitalized the franchise with that. But I mean,
I'm hoping it's good because I think Henry Cavill.
I have no hope. I have no hope because the track record of these fucking remakes, man. They did it with The Crow. Jesus Christ, The Crow 2024 was something else.
Oh, that was
painful.
Abysmal. The thing is, I've met Henry Cavill. He's a really nice guy. So
I believe he's a very nice guy.
I live 10 minutes away from Warhammer World. It's literally 10 minutes that way. I'm in the deepest, darkest of Nottingham. So I was down Warhammer World one day, like I tend to do, being a bit of a Warhammer nut. Hello, Grognards. And we were walking out of Bugman's Bar, which is like their themed dwarf bar. And there is, in front of me, this drop-dead, gorgeous blonde bird. And I clock her, and she gives me this kind of weird look. It's not a smile. I'm not thinking I'm in there or anything. It's just this weird smile. She's waiting for something. And then my eyes shift just across to the left, and she's standing next to Henry Cavill. It's fucking Natalie, what's her name? And he was getting hassled on the way out the door. He was literally going out the way out the door. But he's a really nice guy. And I was like, Henry, Custodes, who is he? And he's like, yes.
No, I think it's
I want him to get a win, but I don't know, man.
His geeky credentials, I guess, are pretty good, and I feel like, you know, he throws himself 100% into all these projects that he gets involved in. I think he probably did the best he could with The Witcher to try and make something good out of that. I get the feeling he was fighting with the showrunners quite a lot to try and have it be more faithful to the source material, and it just was not happening for him. And I don't know, I'm maybe assuming, I could be wrong on this one, that like he would take on a project like this only because he thought that, like, the script was pretty good or it was pretty close to the source material. Not sure. He's got
that Voltron movie coming out as well, hasn't he? And I'm like,
well, I guess the
fucking movie called where he's only in it for 5 minutes. It was a bait and switch. It's about
Abigail. No.
It was Bryce Dallas Howard. Really
Argyle. That was it.
Jesus Christ.
Abigail.
So like,
that was
I mean, he was signed on for that, and fair enough. He was just basically a cameo, but Jesus Christ, that was an appalling movie.
That was properly.
It's a shame because what I would have done is when, as soon as No Time to Die stopped filming, before post production even started, I would have gone to Henry Cavill and I would have said, right, we're getting you in for a Cold War James Bond trilogy before you get too old.
Sure. I mean, I think that's an easy win for everyone. And I think everyone would be pretty happy with that. With something like this, the question that comes to mind for me is like, okay, did Highlander need a remake necessarily?
Yeah, because I mean, they did try to make a franchise out of it, didn't they? I don't know how many movies there are, and there's a
I think that died
TV show as well.
They had a TV show. They had like maybe 3 sequels, which,
as far as I know, none of them did particularly well. There is still a little bit of cultural valence for this. The only reason I know that for sure is that the first boat I lived on was called the Highlander, and every now and then I would sail it through London and someone would shout, "There can only be one." So it's like people do just about remember this, but they didn't seem enough in it to sustain it at its peak of popularity when it first came out. Like, it did sort of disappear with some unsuccessful sequels. So I do wonder how well a reboot could do, even if it's totally faithful one-for-one adaptation. Is there the interest in seeing this story again? And I don't know.
And a lot of the original one was like the soundtrack with Queen and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's the difference here, where it's like you've got the sort of 80s charm of the original one, because you had a surprisingly good cast with like Clancy Brown, Sean Connery, even Christopher Lambert are pretty good in their roles. The soundtrack by Queen is obviously great, and there's like a very specific look that 80s sort of fantasy sci-fi movies had back then that aged surprisingly well. They've just got a lot of charm to them. And you think like, okay, well, they're not going to have that charm now. They're going to have to go all out with, say, spectacle, some really good action sequences, some fight sequences. I guess if you're going to do this and you're going to have the Immortals fighting each other, it has to be superb combat scenes that will impress people.
You can see the katana in the previous shot.
Yeah, I'll see if I can bring that up actually.
I think, I mean, I hope it's going to be good, but just like Despot, it's not. I mean,
the other thing about the original Highlander is it's something of a lightning in a bottle movie. So it's a movie that is really a lot better than it has any right to be, because so many of the elements that were brought together to work for the movie just had magic when they met. Like, you've got the Queen soundtrack is fucking awesome. Plus, Clancy Brown that might be his best performance. Like, that's certainly my favorite Clancy Brown performance as the Kurgan. I fucking love the Kurgan, man. He's so much fun. That 80s aesthetic, and then the chemistry between Sean Connery and McLeod. Awesome. Everything works so well, and it is very much a lightning in a bottle movie, and you can't recapture that. You just can't.
It's going to be a tough one for sure.
I mean, it's the best we can hope for, a mid movie that is just not complete shit, basically.
I get the impression what they're going to want to do with this is kickstart like either a trilogy or a franchise. So I wouldn't be surprised if this like lays the building blocks for like a bigger conflict or whatever. Because the first movie was very much one and done. And then you got like the sequel, which is like this weird fucking like sci-fi thing, like starts off in the future on an alien planet and all that. And then like the third and fourth one, they're just like various degrees of like just rehashing the concept when clearly it was meant to be done with one movie. I think what they're going to try and do is like lay the groundwork for something bigger with this. And so it's not going to have like necessarily a definitive ending. And so,
do you know the budget for it? By any chance?
I don't think they've released it yet. They don't tend to do that until afterwards. I mean, if you think like, so this is Stahelski who did like the John Wick movies. So I guess he's used to doing like pretty good action sequences on not a huge budget, which I'm assuming they're going to try and replicate here. So a lot of it's then just going to come down to like, well, okay, can Cavill like carry the role of like McLeod? You know, is Batista going to be a good antagonist for him?
I didn't know that. And especially after seeing his last film where he just plays David Bautista.
I mean, he's
Afterburn or whatever the hell it was called.
When it comes to like wrestlers becoming actors, he's probably one of the better ones. But like, still,
agreed.
You know, not to mention like now he seems to have downsized quite a bit, and he's not like this big imposing physical presence in the way he used to be. He kind of looks like an old man now, so it makes him a bit of an odd choice going up against a guy like Cavill, who is pretty huge. So
the other problem is, no matter who you get, it's never going to be as good as Tom Clancy's Kurgan. Like no actor could match that.
Clancy Brown, yeah.
I mean, I guess at least as awful as it was, and as little it had to do with the source material as it did, The Crow at least had the sense to not try to redo Top Dollar or anything like that, you know.
Don't compliment anything to do with that movie.
That's about
it. So yeah, I mean, I guess with this one, I'll be curious to see what they do with it. Like, I guess until we see like at least the first trailer, we'll get a feel for how it's going to look and feel. But like, this is our first little glimpse into it, I suppose. So,
by the way,
Cavill seemed quite pleased to share it and quite excited, and he's always excited with projects he goes into. He is genuinely a nerd. You know, he is one of us, and that's why people fucking hate him. But I think that I don't know. I think he wants everything to be good, and maybe he just can't always make it good. Let's not forget, he's working on a Warhammer 40,000 series at the moment.
I mean, I'm dubious about that one because we have not heard anything about that in years. Like, it was announced to a lot of fans.
In GW's latest half-yearly statement, they basically threw the production company under the bus and said it's all down to them. It's nothing to do with us. They'll update when they can. So who knows?
I was actually wondering what is the commercial viability of remakes now? Because I was looking there, there was one last year that made a lot of money. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Did anybody see that?
Right. Nope.
That made money?
Remake? No. Yeah, they remade that last year. I watched it, and it's astoundingly shit. They made the bad guy. So here's the plot's brilliant. So the new mayor wants to renovate the town and turn it into like a real tourist resort. And one of the old victims from the first movie gets angry about this because he feels like their original story of being victims has been brushed under the carpet to make this place look more attractive to tourists. So he goes on a killing spree, and it's an astoundingly bad movie.
One of the original victims goes on a killing spree. One of the original victims
turns out to be he links up with some girl, and the two of them are the bad guys, and then they kill a bunch of people.
Isn't this like the plot of like isn't this the plot of like a bunch of the Scream movies? Because there's been like 7 of them at this point.
Yeah, 7 or 8 or 9.
Remaking I Know What You Did Last Summer is such a sign of the times. Like, man, you guys are scraping under the barrel.
Made money, man. It made a lot of money. That I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it was a small budget. They made it on $18 million.
That's the thing with these horror films, isn't it? You get the Blumhouse.
I was shocked, man. Like, I know, you know, it's been a long time, but Jennifer Love Hewitt bloated like she's a blimp now.
She hit the wall pretty hard. But like, you know, these slasher flicks, man, that is, as Muller said, they are bottom of the barrel shite at the best of times.
They make money.
They do though, because they cost nothing to make.
Movie made fucking money. What was it called? Exorcist Believer, maybe. And it's one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen, and it made fucking money.
Yeah.
Like,
well, look at the Conjuring movies.
They'll make money.
They barely cost anything to make, right? But like they were like making crazy bank. Like the last Conjuring movies like made like 300-400 million.
Yeah, marketed as like the last rites. They were like, "This is the final one, final, last one."
But it did really well.
And they were like, "Okay, there's gonna be another."
Bad guy is a piece of furniture. Okay. Like, I couldn't believe how bad that movie was when I watched it, because given the budget, or not the budget, the box office and the response to it was initially positive. I thought, this might be a good movie. I went to see it in the cinema. I couldn't believe how fucking awful it was. It was so boring as well. Like the main action scene is them pulling a piece of furniture down a corridor. Like, are you fucking
the mirror? Yeah. Because they've been sharing shit like that. But I was going to say the thing you said during like ages ago, because we had like a super chat talking about it or whatever, and then you were like, "Oh yes, it's doing pretty well in the box office. It must be doing something right." And I was like, "I doubt it." And then you went and saw it, and you were like, Yeah.
Yep. Here's a question. Drinker, would you ever consider inviting the Mary Sue writers onto open bar? Fuck yeah. See how well their arguments hold up when they actually have to respond to real criticisms and not their drinker straw man. I would love to talk to the Mary Sue writers and have them on open bar. It would be great fun. I'm sure they would. I'm sure they'd acquit themselves admirably. Yeah, so they would never do it, of course. But hey, it'd be fun to think of. Let's see what's the next one here. I'm going to try and oh shit, where's the chats skimming by too quickly here. Let's see if I can do first of all the member chats from the open bar, because I don't want to skip them and miss them because they go once we end the stream. Hey Drinker, did you ever think your review of a Star Trek show would get more views than the show itself? Not sure if you should be proud or sad. I'm kind of sad, honestly, to see what's become of Star Trek, because I kind of know what my videos will get in terms of viewership anyway, but like, god damn, man. Like, it's not like I'm a 60-year-old franchise with, like, you know, generations of people behind me or anything. Like, this is Star Trek, and it's just dead. And I didn't even kill it. It was killed by incompetent writers. Jesus. Yeah, Lord Thought became a new member, so welcome aboard, sir. Good to have you here. Next up, let me just skim through. Yeah. Critic Owl, so excited to see you on open bar. My condolences that you have to keep watching Starfleet Academy and keep up the language study.
Yeah, I'm off to Japan again in May. Speaking
cool.
Japanese is hard. Reading it is harder. Writing it is impossible.
Well, best of luck to you.
I want to know a bit more than I knew last time round, because they really appreciate it if you put the effort in. Because they don't like foreigners. They just don't like them because they go over there. They treat them like they own the place and all that kind of stuff. But if you just make just a bit of effort to learn the language and go on that level, you'll see their complete demeanor change about you, even if you are covered with tattoos like me. So yeah, it's worth it.
Can't wait for the EFAP of Stuckman's review of Mahler's movie. Stuckman would never have the balls to review your film.
What would he say? He'd just be like,
so there's a movie written by
This
Mahler,
is written by
it's
Callum,
got
who's
stuff in
also
it,
known
and
as
it takes
Mahler.
place.
And now let me tell you about this amazingly cinematic slot machine.
Yeah. I've got this amazing payday loan app that I can recommend to you.
let me tell you about the
As a reminder, I will have I'll have a review up on Mahler's All in Good Time at some point in this coming week, for sure.
Good stuff. Yeah, what's this one? Thoughts on the Apple Sanderson universe collab? So I know precisely nothing about that. I don't know if you guys do.
I know that
Brandon Sanderson has just been picked up to adapt his books.
Right.
There's two series of them, right? It's I do, because I'm not hugely knowledgeable about him. Is it Mist something or other and Storm something or other? The two big ones that everyone apparently knows, which I don't. But Amazon's got both of those, one of which I believe they intend to make into a film, and the other one will be a TV show. But that's about the extent of my knowledge of this deal. But I gather some people are looking forward to this because they like him. And Apple is not known to be one of the worst when it comes to streaming services making adaptations from books. So, you know, it's given us some half decent things. It's also given us Foundation, which is dog shit. But, you know, it gave us Pluribus, which is apparently not. So maybe this is a good thing. Who knows? At least it's not Amazon.
That's true, yeah. Has Picardo learned to shut up yet, or is he still suiciding his fan base with stupid hot takes? Hail Drinker, Mahler, and Panel. Yeah,
the second one.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see what's like. It's kind of old man yells at cloud, and he's just vaguely angry at the internet. But yeah, I'd maybe.
It seems to be something that happens to all Star Trek actors, apart from William Shatner, for some reason.
Yeah, and I guess he's going to try and defend the show because he's in it and it's in his interest.
Oh, he has been. Yeah.
I hope that paycheck was worth it to come back for something like this dog shit show. Yeah, Starfleet Academy is a damning indictment of how dumb society's become. TNG brought us a measure of a man and the high ground, balanced, thoughtful exploration of ideas. Yeah, don't expect any of that with Starfleet Academy.
Yeah. I mean, even though episode 4 is mildly more Star Trek than we have had so far, it still wouldn't match up against even the most average of Next Generation episodes.
Yeah, for sure. Hail from New York. Critical Drinker, panel, mods, and chat. Alex Kurtzman must go before Star Trek can ever be saved. I mean, 100%, yes. He needs to go. You're not going to fix Star
honestly,
Trek
even if he goes, unless the new creator comes in and says, right, everything that hack did is non-canon and got rid of, I don't see a way that it can recover.
Sure, but it's steps. So, like, step 1 would be getting rid of him, and then step 2 would be decanonizing everything that he's made, essentially.
They've got the advantage there because Discovery in season 3, one of the seasons, anyway, jumped forward by like a few thousand years. That's where the Starfleet Academy is set well in advance of anything that's anywhere near the Star Trek people used to like. You wouldn't even need to explicitly decanonize it. You could just say, well, we're actually going back to the prime timeline and the period of that timeline that people like and remember, and we're going to write it like we used to write that, as opposed to stay in this bizarre new, very far future thing where everything is shit. He's kind of written in the out for whoever wants to take this over.
Yeah. I mean, I would be happy to say it's all parallel universe and that timeline has just been nuked and it doesn't exist anymore because the stain of it is always going to remain otherwise. So I'd rather get rid of it and willow it. In fact, if we could do that, that'd be superb. Watching docs on shows like Hornblower and Rome, the inventive ways to show lots of people in large places with limited or no CGI feels like a lost art. Yep. The use of just the correct camera angle and just the right amount of extras and all that, like the right staging of scenes. It's very impressive what you could do to make a lot out of very little. And yeah, it's definitely a lost art now because it's like, yeah, screw it, we'll just fix it in post. Let's see, where's the next member chat one here? Just don't want to miss any of them. Okay, I think we got... oh, yeah, there's one there. Yeah. Hey, gents, order Night of the Seven Kingdoms book, a refreshing show compared to the garbage that this month is given. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the book.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can bring up like the chats from the beginning. The Right Tackle says, what's everyone's favorite armor from fiction? I think mine are the Night Lords from Warhammer 40k or the Hunter from Bloodborne. So any suit of armor from any movie, TV show, whatever you want it to be, basically.
Well, what a selection to pick from. It's kind of a spoiled for choice.
I always loved the Iron Knuckle armor in Ocarina of Time. It's so cool looking.
Kind of go with the Witch King in Lord of the Rings. He looks badass as all hell with that full suit.
It's a good look.
It does, yeah. I mean, pretty much you could pick any suit of armor from the Lord of the Rings movies, and they pretty much all look fantastic. Like whether it's Theoden, whether it's Aragorn when he finally gets like properly suited up for battle, like they all look great in their own way, and they all look believable and functional, which I love.
Even the bit part ones, Sauron, which you see him in his full get-up, maybe a minute of runtime total, I think, not much more than that, and the amount of craft and attention to detail that went into making that was impressive. Darth Vader, that's iconic for a reason. The armor design is pretty impressive. That fusion of samurai and sci-fi is not been beaten, which is why they keep trying to reuse it. There's a lot of that's almost impossible to answer. There are just so many great selections.
I mean, 40k has already been bought up. My friend's actually an armor painter for studios and stuff like that. She's done Dune and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to pick Samus Aran's armor from Metroid.
It is pretty
not
cool.
From the new game, because that looked like garbage, but maybe like Prime 2 or something like that.
I do quite like the power armor from Fallout. We won't talk about the TV show too much, but from the games, I just think it looks actually quite functional and brutalistic, and just like that is the sort of thing that would power through fucking walls. And
it has that really satisfying sort of heavy clunk to it as well. Like you can sort of in the games you can feel the weight of the thing. Not so much in the show where it's made of plastic, but in the games it's quite impressive.
Yeah, no, I like that. Blue Collar Loser says, glad to see Critical here. He loves the new Star Trek. I'm sure you do. Don't let him lie to you. Can't believe he trashed Mahler's film. No way I'm making any of this up. Lol. Yes, indeed.
Son of a bitch. I'm still never going to forgive him for showing me War of the Worlds, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And seeing the new Statham film, since Transporter, has anyone else held down the action genre? He's consistent. He knows the audience. He doesn't age. Lol. Yeah, Jason Statham has been 40 years old for the past 25 years. It's kind of uncanny. But yeah, you kind of always know what you're going to get with a Statham movie. It's dumb action. He's going to do some fairly impressive fight scenes, I guess, because he knows how to do a bit of martial arts. And that's fine. He knows who he's appealing to. I don't really go into a Statham movie expecting high art or anything like that. But he's got his niche for sure. Zeddy Boy says, Mauler, will there be an EFAP for Resident Evil 9? I hope so.
Probably. I think we're all going to play it anyway, so yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to play it. LC Le Pen, retirement funds for Mauler's El Gato. Damn cooler.
I don't think it's something to do with like what is it called? Like when there's like electrical interference, there's certain cables. It's like a consistent on timer thing. It's something to do with the way my HDMI cables are. I've ordered a bunch that are like protected. Some weird thing I was looking into, but it keeps like sapping out the Elgato connection for about a couple of seconds every once in a while.
Yeah. What's this one? Yeah. Northern English Bastard says, Hail Drinker, Mauler and panel. Here to show my support for Critic Al, who suffered way too much under Starfleet. Help him through this trauma. Oh, we have. Don't worry.
It's been therapeutic.
Yeah, Starbucks Meg says, once for Despot, since being on open bar for 28 years later, what did you think of Bone Temple? And for the panel, thoughts on Fallout Season 2 and the story for Season 3?
I haven't seen Bone Temple because it hasn't released in South Korea yet, but I will be seeing it next week, and I'll let you know my thoughts in my next live stream. So, yeah.
As for
I haven't
Fallout
seen Bone
Season...
Temple because I didn't watch 28 Years Later because I heard it was awful. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Fallout Season 2.
I think there's one story there I really like, which is the story between the Ghoul and Lucy, and everything else I don't care.
Yeah, there's been a lot of time wasting this season. There's been a lot of wandering around. There's been a lot of busy work. The stuff about like the snack club in Vault 33, that's complete fucking nonsense. Like all that stuff can just go. Yeah, Walton Goggins is like carrying the show on his shoulders, 100%. Ella Purnell
coming out.
What? Sorry,
Season 2 of Fallout. When is that due?
It's out now.
You're talking about it.
Episodes out so far, I think.
How many?
6?
Yeah,
only
no idea.
3/4 of it.
Yeah, you have no idea because nobody cares. It's crazy.
No one's talking about it. It's not as patched. It's not as good as Season 1. And
I thought Season 1 was shite.
Well, there you go.
You're with Mauler on that one. I didn't mind Season 1, but the way I felt about Season 1 was that it was a shallow oasis in a sea of shit. There was so much crap that I was just like, this isn't completely awful. I kind of like it.
Why is it? There was a lot of buzz about Season 1. Why has Season 2 bombed to the point where
I don't know.
No one's talking about it?
Well, I think because maybe in retrospect, a lot of people reconsidered Season 1 and thought, nah, it's actually not as good as like the hype made it out to be. And like, I don't really care about watching Season 2. And then they just didn't.
Well, they've announced, haven't they, that they've actually changed the premiere time and date for the last 2 episodes of the season, which they said is in response to lots of people really wanting it. I get the sense that maybe isn't true, unless it's one of those shows now that is like there are a few of them that come around where like loads of people are watching it, and it just has no traction in the circles we move in. It's got
weird,
no interest from me whatsoever.
It's a universe post-apocalyptic wasteland show, which has got nearly limitless potential for doing stuff, having adventures, doing things, and making people want to play the game. Yeah. But they've decided to try and explain how it all happened. And I'm like, why don't you leave that for a later season? Let's get stuck into this,
I think that's part of the problem. And like, because like they go from really goofy humor where everyone's retarded in like the post apocalyptic world to like they're trying for like really hard-hitting heavy drama and intrigue with like the pre-war stuff
where everyone is still retarded. So
they're still retarded, but like they're trying to give them the veneer of being intelligent, like stupid people's idea of what intelligence looks like.
Yeah.
And then they've even walked back a lot of the things that they established in season 1 about the events that led up to the war. So it's like now becoming just really frustrating and confusing. And yeah, there's a lot of time wasting going on. And there's a lot of characters who are just like their motivations don't even really make any sense. So I have no idea where it's going.
Meandering, unfortunately, which is a shame.
Yeah. So yeah, not great. And
lots of
Ella
the side
Purnell
stories
freaks me out as well because her eyes are
freaks me out.
she has a certain look. But
is it like the Sophie Ellis Bextor? Is it with the weird eyes?
It's the Anya Taylor-Joy look where it's like she's just like right on the verge of looking like a space alien.
Sophie Ellis Bextor.
A little bit. It's also so gimmicky as well, because I'm not hugely familiar with the lore of the games, but I know enough to know that both the Brotherhood of Steel and Caesar's Legion should be way more interesting than the show has made them.
Oh, yeah,
the Legion in particular, that entire, I did catch that episode, and just, that idea that you've got the two camps fighting over basically 5 inches of dirt where the body of the dead Caesar is still there and his anointed successor's name is in his pocket, and they've just been there apparently forever fighting over this. They are just retards, and there's no interest for me in going around seeing a different flavor of that. Can we have one faction I can take seriously? Maybe, because the head of the Brotherhood of Steel is like the only character I almost kind of like, because he treats every scene he's in as though he's actually in a serious drama, which he's not. But he didn't get the memo, so he acts it. And that's compelling, but nothing else is.
And
no, I mean, without Goggins, I don't think I could actually watch the show.
Yeah, he is carrying it, and so there's only so much he can do. I don't think it's going to have much success beyond this. Next one is Snex, who says, remember the descriptive audio for the Acolyte? Imagine how bad it's going to be for Starfleet Academy. Yeah, it's just Starfleet Academy this week. This is from Matthew McGee. Says, immigration is good and everybody is gay. Leave it to Alex Kurtzman to make something that might have been interesting and instead turn it into one long feeling fest. R.I.P. Star Trek. Pretty much. That's what Kurtzman does best.
He turned around and said it, didn't he? He said Star Trek was just a platform for him.
For the message, yeah.
Put across messages, yeah.
The Imperial Brick says, a wizard is never late nor early, but what if that wizard is gay? Well, then he can show up whenever he feels like it, as we did. Nate Scott says, truly the latest and gayest of bars. Well, I mean, we actually got like sidetracked with loads of conversations backstage, and this is what happens. We discuss super interesting things before we go live, and then we just turn into boring arseholes. So what can I say? Autism says, finally had a chance to watch The Two Towers in theaters last week. Got Return of the King booked for Saturday. Two Towers was an experience. Can't wait for the Rohirrim charge. Yeah, damn right. Stormbreaker says, Drinker, I'm going to be at Orlando MegaCon. Will you be there? Yes, I will. Believe that. Flights are booked and everything. So yes, I will be at MegaCon this year. Looking forward to it. Akira says, I see Mobo didn't go to the premiere of his own movie because of Expedition 33. Understandable.
How could I? Everything had to take a detour. I streamed that game. I had no choice.
Lance phoned him. We didn't let him get away entirely free. Lance phoned him. We made him do a little mini speech type thing.
Yeah, put you on the spot and everything.
He also phoned me later, very drunk, and said things.
Look, much wine was consumed that night. What can I say?
I didn't get back to Nottingham till 4 a.m. that night.
Mexi Rage says, I hope the Highlander movie is good. I would like to see Henry get some wins. Man, it's sad also to the journalists of movies and games. The failures will continue until the morale improves. Release the 20-hour Mauler cut. I want to see a 20-hour Mauler cut of All in Good Time.
That's the short version, right?
Yeah, I think so. You got to be brutal at times.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowhawk says, all hail the critical Grifty Bear and Longman. Are there any movies or video games that you're excited for this year?
Oh,
thanks.
By the way, the dude who came up with the whole Griffly Bear thing, saying it about you, Drinker, like the other day, he's been outed as like a major plagiarist. He's just outright stolen videos from other people or whatever and uploaded them. Like
Imagine my shock.
Basically snatch like the things they say in their videos and repurpose the script. I saw someone post a comparison. It's fucking insane. It's like they show the first video where a guy says like, "Hey, you said no good films came out, but Sinners did." Then he'll cut over to his and he'll go, "You said no good films came out, but Sinners did." Like 1 for the whole script. It's just like, damn, dude. Just FYI, any plagiarists out there or any evil people out there, you don't want to be evil and incompetent. Really bad mix. Like everyone will find out, and then you're screwed. You know. We warned this about writers for Hollywood as well. Like you gotta be smarter.
Be evil or incompetent, but not both.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Lagana says it's great to hear Queen's music will play a part in the Highlander remake soundtrack. I'm hoping for the film doesn't try to copy the original too much. I mean, I guess because like ultimately, what's the point if you're just gonna like remake it beat for beat? Like maybe do something interesting with it. But oh, I never answered the question previously as well. Resident Evil Requiem, I'm excited to play. I've watched the trailers. I'm intrigued by it. So I want a proper Resident Evil game again. Melvin Deeply says, Platoon, you should do a No Country for Old Men breakdown. Challenge yourself. You're wasting your talent shitting on Disney slop.
When did I last do a Disney slop? It's been a while.
I think now any bad thing that comes up, people are just like, it's Disney slop.
It's Disney. I mean, it's fair. They do own half the franchises. But no, probably is the answer to that question. I haven't seen that movie for a long time, but I know Melvin doesn't like it.
What?
I know. Never figured out why precisely. But then he doesn't like Andor either, so he's just wrong.
Oh,
Melvin has some crazy ideas.
That's okay.
Who Lawsome says, just heard the amazing news that Brandon Sanderson signed a deal with Apple TV for his Cosmere series, where he negotiated to have full creative control over it. Hopefully future amazing fantasy content soon. I mean, damn, that was an impressive deal to sign then when you've got full creative control. That is a rare thing in this day and age. So yeah, good on him. Stormbreaker, you guys come to Orlando MegaCon. First drink's on me. I'll be there. You better buy me that drink. Sushi says, I can so picture you two on a couple of motorcycles riding across the countryside. Cheers. Here's to hoping 2026 is a better year for entertainment. Do you mean like me and Mahler riding on a motorbike together? I could picture that. I do every night, in fact. It's beautiful. Oh. I shed a quiet tear that it's not happened yet.
The drunken riders.
Yeah.
We'll make the dream real someday.
Yeah. Silent Evil says Pyramid Head will return in Avengers Doomsday. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw him in there at some point. He's just in the background like, hey, it's me. Stormbreaker says whiskey and cigar, enjoying open bar. Mahler, MegaCon. Ever?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe never.
Okay. Master of Puppets. After the Star Trek EFAP, what's that? My girlfriend and I made a list of who should have died. Oh, sorry, this is obviously Stranger Things, not Star Trek. And they just put Whoops. So, Hopper should have died season 2. Jonathan, season 2, saving Will. Max, season 4. Steve, season 4, instead of Eddie. Lucas, season 5. Will, season 5, killing Vecna. And Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler. I agree with all of those things.
Yeah, actually. No, I think they're broadly speaking, they're all good choices for deaths. And they were stupid to not kill more characters, and they even said it.
It was like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and it was like, oh, who's going to die? Who are they going to kill? Oh, and in the end, it was just no.
Well, they baited deaths like 8 times in that movie, and no one died.
Yeah.
Weird as hell.
I definitely think there needed to be more stakes in Stranger Things, to be honest.
Some of the 100%. You can take some of the still images from that show, and they just look ridiculous. It's a room filled with literally like 15 characters sitting around making a plan to go do something in the Upside Down, and just that single image, you think, my God, how did they not realize when they were making this what a massive mistake they'd made?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when Will has his really poignant coming out scene, and then you pan around and it's like half the population of Middle America is in the room with him. Don't think this was a mistake. But yeah, they recognized it themselves that there's a bit where they finally get all of the people together for their first table read, and one of the duffers says, God, there's quite a lot of you here. Maybe we should have killed some of you off. You should have done, yes, but they didn't do it because, to quote themselves, they didn't want to be like Game of Thrones, because that's all the Game of Thrones ever did, was just randomly kill people off for no reason.
I do feel like there's a middle ground.
They learned
the
wrong
George kills
lessons
everybody. Stranger Things kills nobody. There's a space in between where you can just kill 3 or 4 people, you know?
Yeah, and it's not just about story. Like, there is a practical element to this. If you have too many characters, you have to give them busy work to keep them in the plot. And it just, it creates Stranger Things 5, where it's just a fucking mess.
I mean, we saw that so much in the finale, where there was people just standing around who didn't have anything to do.
Well, Hopper and what was that other guy with the beard?
Murray,
they were literally just stood there waiting for like half the episode. Like, so should we blow this thing yet, or what? It's like that's not good writing right there.
Just
really
awful.
Well. I've recently, me and my wife recently rewatched the entire run of the seasons. Dexter is brilliant at killing off exactly the right number of characters. Now, it does have a couple of shit seasons, but that's one thing it always gets right, except the last season. Last season was fucking terrible. But it almost always knows which characters to kill and when. It's really good at that. And it's an art, you know? It's an important thing to do in any show.
Captain Bucky O'Hare says, watch the TNG episode where Q hurls the Enterprise into the Borg for the very first time. Picard gauges the tactics of his crew and realizes that they're completely unprepared. Riveting character-based good stuff. Good times. One of the best episodes of TNG ever written. 1, creating a truly terrifying alien threat in the Borg, something that you've never encountered before. 2, pitting the Enterprise against an enemy that like they absolutely can't take on, and having to like have Picard realize that and admit it to Q, where he straight up says, I need your help. I can't get out of this. This enemy is about to overwhelm us. I need your help. And that's when Q just snaps his fingers and takes them out of it. And it's like the whole episode is him just teaching them, you're not prepared for what's out there. There are things that are unbelievably terrifying and dangerous, and you need to be better. You need to be more prepared for this. That's a superb episode.
Oh, it's brilliant. Q Hughes, awesome episode. But isn't it crazy how we had the end of the Next Generation and All Good Things, and we have Q going to Picard and going, that's what it's really about. Not data, learning new stuff, not whatever Troy's babbling about. You know, that's not what the future of humanity is. And Picard's like, what do you mean? And then Q just goes, see you, you'll find out. See you out there.
Yeah.
And then everything that Kurtzman has written since has been reason nothing about the future of humanity. So yeah, thanks, Alex Kurtzman.
That final message of TNG was superb, where it's about expanding your horizons, your understanding of the universe, and just being open to new possibilities that you'd never considered before. That's the essence of it, not just being so complacent in your superiority of your technology, your understanding of science or whatever, but realizing there is always more to learn. It's a great philosophy, and it's really what Star Trek is about. And yeah, as you say, you then get to Kurtzman Trek, where it's just like a bunch of retards in charge of a starship. Isn't it funny? It's like that's it's a bit of a sad state of affairs when that's what you've taken from Star Trek and turned it into. Fatness Everlean says, "Congrats, Mauler. Looking forward to seeing the film."
I hope you like it.
Yeah. Stephen DeLeon says, "Where the white women at, you bunch of figs?" Well, I mean, we couldn't provide you with any right now, but we'll serve them up on a platter for the next episode. How's that sound?
I'm afraid the closest you'll get is if I shave off the beard.
Yeah. Yeah. Frankster says, "Drinker, what's your favorite movie prop, and what movie props do you know that changed culture, became iconic, or saved a brand?" I mean, the lightsaber would probably be one of your most iconic movie props of all time. It's pretty recognizable. Yeah, what other ones are really good? I love the flux capacitor. Well, I was going to say the flux capacitor from Back to the Future. I love the whole DeLorean as a prop, because essentially it is. It's just a very big one. But yeah, I just love it. I love the look of it. I love the 80s aesthetic to it. Yeah,
Wilson.
something like that. Wilson, yeah.
My favorite prop.
Just a football.
The T-800 skeleton is really iconic.
Wasn't he a volleyball?
The T-800. Yeah, he started out as a volleyball, but then he got armored up.
I'm at Wilson, but yes.
Yeah, it was. Platoon, do you have a favorite prop or anything from movies that stuck with you?
It's got to know the lightsaber's the obvious choice. There must be some others, but nothing's coming to mind.
What about the ring? Does that count?
Oh, the ring. Yeah, that is a pretty important prop.
It's important. It's not because it is ultimately just a ring, so it's not immediately recognizable as like the particular ring.
What about the cane from Citizen Kane?
What about the sledge?
The cars count as props. There's a lot of famous cars out there.
The Scream mask must be one of the best-selling props of all time.
It's got to be. Rivet City Ghoul says, "Hello everyone. Have you watched Castle Rock yet? It's from that era when interesting stuff actually happened in every episode. It's on Netflix right now." No, I haven't actually. Dude, I don't know anything about it. I couldn't really tell you. Yeah, Cuban says he did a video on Heart of Darkness and contacted them if he could upload it to show people one of the best renditions of the story, and they agreed. I think that's the channel he was referencing where they were allowed to show like entire movies and so on. So I think that's maybe part of the deal that he cut.
So it's unlikely that for EFAP, for example, we could go and say, hey, can we please have the Lilo and Stitch remake as one of the worst examples of movies ever made and put it on our channel?
Well, that's kind of what it comes down to, isn't it? It's like, well, we're going to shit all over everything that you've made. It's like, well, we probably don't want that then.
But then surely that's how you end up in the problem we have at the moment, where people are only giving good reviews because they want to get preview access.
Sure. Scott Stewart says, "Love from Scotland. Airdrie reminds me of Star Trek, except less pain and less sense." Yes, Airdrie. I mean, great. Yeah, Airdrie is a place. I'm not sure it reminds me of Star Trek in too many ways. And I'll finish up with this one from Proctophile. Says, "Don't write off Godfather 3 too quickly. Kyle Corwith put out a video on it that made it a personal favorite. Highly recommend if you haven't looked into his work yet." Well, there we go. Recommendation right there. Thank you, sir. Yeah, what's this one? Yeah, I will finish up there. Gentlemen, my panel for Open Bar tonight, it's been awesome to have you guys on as always. Despot and Platoon, it's always a pleasure to have you guys back. And Critical, it's great to have you here for your first time ever. We were gentle with you, or at least I hope we were.
just this time round, the first one, and then after that, there's no lube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so pucker up next time. But yeah, thanks, man, for coming on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the invite. Cheers, man.
For everyone else who's joined us for this, as always, thank you very much for all the super generous super chats that you sent us. The ones that we weren't able to cover tonight, Mauler and I will, as always, catch up with last orders and do them then. I'm sorry we couldn't get through them all, but thank you. And thank you to my mods who've done the usual awesome work that they always do. But right now, that's all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
Bye.